Good morning, dear friends, fellow alumnus, ladies and gentlemen. We are already on the threshold of the second month of the third quarter, which we all sincerely hope will bring us good tidings. Despite unprecedented period in recent times, we managed to stay in touch with each other and create positive pathways for all in this group. For that, a big thanks for your faith and support. The festivities will provide a wonderful opportunity to reconnect with fellow entrepreneurs and explore the ways in which AABN continues to shape an exciting environment. As we move forward with strategic plans to ensure AABN's future, we will continue to invest in the vast potential inherent in collaboration among individuals of varying backgrounds, perspectives, and expertise. The AABN, as you all know, is an umbrella front of entrepreneurs from across the globe. It is extremely gratifying to note that today's webinar is the 104th edition. No wonder we also got an awesome speaker with fresh perspectives on green mantra, artificial intelligence, and IoT-driven precision farming. Let us extend a very warm welcome to our eminent speaker, Mr. Benjamin Raja, to this interactive business networking session. The agriculture sector is one of the largest in the world, with an estimated global value of approximately 2.5 trillion US dollars. Farming provides jobs for approximately 20% of the world's population. To meet the needs of a rising global population that is expected to reach 10 billion people by 2050, global food production we need to be accelerated by an estimated 70%. The Earth's landmass will come under tremendous strain to meet our food needs. Additionally, the mounting problems of global warming, deforestation, soil erosion, and the depleting water resources will pose serious challenge to farm productivity. The evolution of technologies such as artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, big data analytics, etc., is encouraging the use of smart machines and intelligent robots in agriculture. Called the precision of smart agriculture, these technologies are paving the way for improving agriculture yield with the limited natural resources we have to feed a burgeoning global population. The incorporation and subsequent contribution of these technologies have already started to radically transform agriculture domain. The global precision farming is valued at approximately 9 billion US dollars today and is expected to reach US 16 billion by 2030 at a CAGR of approximately 8%. The major drivers for the rise in precision agriculture market includes increased strain on global food supplies, the need for optimizing crop production, and the introduction of government initiatives promoting modern technology-induced agriculture techniques. This concept leverages disruptive technologies to increase crop yield, maximize resource efficiency, and strengthen the overall supply chains. In this context of precision agriculture, this webinar episode will dwell into the various aspects of leveraging artificial intelligence and IoT in accelerating digital transformation for agricultural production process and examine the current standardization terrain related to the agriculture sphere. Mr. Benjamin Raja is the co-founder and CEO of Farmagain Agro Products Limited, and he will help us to demystify precision farming. Mr. Benjamin will welcome questions throughout the program as he discusses some of the do's and don'ts that he has learned. I have the present duty of welcoming and introducing Mr. Benjamin Raja. Mr. Benjamin Raja worked as senior management executive in leading MNCs such as Honeywell and LVMH. With a postgraduate degree in computer science and profound insight in R&D, Mr. Benjamin worked in India and abroad for over 17 years. Despite his apex role, he opted to retire with an intention to contribute to the Indian society. He was passionate about improving agriculture productivity by bringing in the most modern technology into the core of precision agriculture. His innovation is revolutionary and can bring down water and fertilizer usage while substantially improving productivity, lowering cost of cultivation, and lessening soil infertility incidents. Ultimately, technology-enabled precision agriculture can increase farmers' income and make farming a great career opportunity for the young India. With this diverse background, I'm sure today's gathering feels special because of his participation. And dear friends and entrepreneurs, I hope you enjoy the program and find it useful. Have a nice time. Thank you, and over to you, Mr. Benjamin Raja.
Thank you, Mr. Gopi. So I think half of what I have to say, you have already said about precision farming and why it is important and what is likely to happen if it is not adopted across the world. So I will, with a quick introduction, I'll get into the presentation. So before I start sharing my screen, let's just talk a little bit about what this precision farming all about. And before that, the world is so small. After so many years today, I think I found a classmate of mine here, Mr. Patmanabhan or Dr. Patmanabhan, who works in Annamalai University. And it was such a coincidence that I happened to come and present this forum. And he happens to be a professor in this university. So it is very nice. And special thanks to Mr. Gopi because he made this happen. An accidental, unexpected benefit. Anyway, with that. So my studies were all in computer science. I did my BSc Computer Science in St. Joseph's, Kadalur, and subsequently did my master's in computer science in Manonmani University, Tirunelveli. And then I joined LVMH, Louis Vuitton Moet and Hennessy. For some of you who may know that, it is the world's largest fashion and liquor company. And if you look for the world's richest people, the second richest person is the owner of that company, LVMH, Arnold Bernard. So I worked there as a software engineer and then subsequently went to Honeywell. And in Honeywell, I had the opportunity to work in various departments. So got exposure into research, software development, and all of that. And research, particularly in the areas of aerospace and industrial automation, where the level of automation is unimaginable. I mean, you can think of an aircraft where an aircraft actually has the ability to take off and land on its own. Just that the authorities across the world are not still very comfortable, and they still want a pilot to actually operate. But otherwise, an aircraft has the ability to do it on its own. So you can imagine what kind of sophisticated automation has to be there in place for an aircraft to automatically take off or land or cruise, right? So I've seen those kinds of automation. And then came my encounter into agriculture. So the agricultural practices that were followed in different parts of the world, you can at your liberty do some internet searching and find out about the different practices that are followed in different parts of the world. And if you compare that with what we follow back here in India, you will see a huge difference. The word precision is largely unheard of in this part of the world. And some parts of India, though, for example, Maharashtra, has adopted precision farming maybe about 15, 20 years back, and they're slowly progressing towards good practices in precision farming. And that's one state in India that we can look up to. And the other states, I think, are in the process of slowly following the suit, because without that, it'll be very difficult for them to survive in the agricultural field. So with that introduction, I'll share my screen and get into the presentation. So is my screen visible? Okay. Good. So Farm Again is the name of the company that I founded in 2013. And the reason we gave the name Farm Again is because both in India as well as in the rest of the world, there is a need to look at farming from a different perspective, which is why we named it as Farm Again. And the tagline we coined was harvest the unharvested. Unharvested, in fact, is an incorrect English word, but we coined it. The reason for that is any crop we grow, we probably don't reach its highest potential. If the highest potential of a crop is, let's say, 10 kilograms in its lifespan, we probably harvest much less than the genetic potential of 10 kilogram of that plant. So there is always a possibility of improving some practices, some techniques, so that we reach the actual absolute genetic potential of that crop. So which is why we coined our tagline as harvest the unharvested. So what we do is we enable smart agriculture using IoT and artificial intelligence. And in fact, this is our own patented technology. And as we get going with the presentation, I will explain the importance of this patent and I mean why the patent became a talking point in our industry. And the name of the technology is Grotron. So it is essentially grow, 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 and generally anything to do with robotics, we suffix that with Tron. So that's how the name Grotron was coined. So the Grotron is an autonomous precision farming technology. So now today's discussion, we will talk about what is precision farming, and we will also talk about why precision farming is a need of the hour and their benefits. And this is where Mr. Gopi, in fact, covered a whole lot. And then we will also talk about role of artificial intelligence and IoT in precision farming and how the future is going to look like. So now getting into what is precision farming. So I found this nice diagram from farm21.com. So it is about, if you look at from this point onwards, in a precision farming, you'll have to acquire data from the actual process that is being followed. And the data is processed to get some insights or inferences. And those inferences will have to be interpreted so that you can make some decisions, change course, drop something, add something new. So essentially make some decisions based on the insights received through analysis of the data. And once the decisions are taken, do a planning cycle and get into action and compare the results, find out the learnings, and it becomes a cycle of this kind. Now, to do this precision farming, if someone had a question, is technology really important? I would say actually no. You can do precision farming with or without technology. As long as, let's say, you're able to, let's say, I know Annamalai University is a large campus with some large, forest-like places as well. So if you can think of, let's say, 10 to 20 acres of land and you divide them into 50 zones, as long as you're able to capture some data, even manually. So let's say you implant some 15, 20 different sensors, which have their own display, and note them down on a piece of paper. And then you do all kinds of manual analysis like what was done 30, 40 years back. Even that works. So what you really need is some techniques and technology to be able to sense, study, and then be able to collect data and analyze. So the modern technologies such as IoT and artificial intelligence, the necessity of that depends on the size of the farm, the practicality, the manpower. But otherwise, fundamentally, to carry out precision farming, you don't necessarily need them. Now, this precision farming, you'll have to look at two specific areas. One is the pre-cultivation, the other is during cultivation. So during pre-cultivation, that means before you have planted a seedling, there are certain things that will have to be considered as part of precision farming. Say, for example, the amount of water that you may need to irrigate a certain zone of a farm. What kind of irrigation system has to be there in place? Depending on the crop, say, for example, you may say for vegetable crops, I may go with a certain type of drip irrigation. So I'm not going into the technicalities of those because that's a large subject on its own. So you may decide to go with a specific type of drip irrigation. You may decide to go with raised bed cultivation, let's say 1.5 foot raised bed cultivation, where the top of the bed is covered with mulch sheet, which is basically it is a plastic sheet which helps in eliminating the evaporation as well as helps avoid weed growth and improves photosynthesis. So there are many things that you may have to consider before the cultivation stage as to what we really need to do, what kind of beds have to be prepared, what kind of irrigation has to be planned, what kind of pumping system has to be there in place, what kind of tanks. Do you want to go with the open well? Do you want to go with the constructed tank? Should it be overhead? Should it be under the ground? And what direction the plants have to be planted? Is it north, south, or east, west? Because scientifically speaking, north, south improves the productivity on vegetable crops, particularly because the sunlight can fall on the plants on every part of the plant. While east, west, there will be a lot of leaves which may not be able to take part in the process of photosynthesis. So, like this, and what kind of nutrients will have to be supplied during the cultivation phase? So, what should I keep in stock? And what kind of weather am I looking at from now to the end of this cultivation, let's say 6 months or 9 months from now? And uh, based on the past history, what kind of weather have I seen month on month, let's say from the month of November, how the weather was like in December, January, February, so on and so forth. And if I were to face such a weather, what kind of pest and disease will I have to be prepared to face? Say, for example, if there is a hot sun and suddenly the temperature changes to rainy season and the temperature drops, that brings out certain pests and that brings out certain amount of stress on the plant. And same the other way around. From a rainy day to a sudden change into a high sunny day is likely to attract a lot of pest and stress on the plant. So therefore, if I can think and plan for the next few months as to what should I foresee, and if some of those incidents that I have foreseen were to occur, what remedy should I take, and to be able to carry out those remedies, what should I keep in stock would be another part of the planning. Then, for me to be able to spray certain, nutrients or pest or disease control mechanisms, what is my land size? Does it make sense for me to have people spray all over the field, or would it make sense for me to have drones deployed so that the process of spraying can be quick? Therefore, I can easily eliminate quicker spread of those pest or disease. So these kinds of discussions do take place in the pre-cultivation phase, and then really get ready for an intensive cultivation. And then during cultivation, depending on the plant, say for example, I go with let's say tomato. So one has to know the genetical potential of tomato. Let's assume the genetical potential of the tomato that I go in for is about let's say 15 kilograms in its lifespan. So what that means is from the time it is going to start giving yield till the day it is going to die, it will give 15 kilograms of tomato fruits, and that is what is called the genetic capacity of a plant. Now, once I know that, I should then be able to calculate based on the literature that is already available, studied and written by many scientists in the past. I should be then able to calculate what should I feed these plants with so that it can reach its maximum potential. It is very similar to we humans, where there is a difference between a normal person like me and a person who becomes, let's say, Mr. Chennai, Mr. Tamil Nadu, Mr. India. So there is a difference in the food that I and you eat versus a person who is, a gym goer eats. There is a difference. Therefore, depending on the genetic potential of the plant, you will have to calculate different types and quantum of feed. And the way, let's say, there are plants where you do pruning. You don't allow all the branches to grow because you may not really need them. Because growing of more branches would mean the plants spend energy in growing the leaves, but let's say the growth of flowers and fruits can only set in a certain branches, and therefore I would decide to chop off the branches that are not required, which sucks out energy which could otherwise be spent effectively on fruiting. So those kinds of decisions are taken during cultivation phase. So essentially, just to summarize what this precision farming is all about, it is very similar to if there is any participant here who probably has an exposure in setting up an industry or even a small lathe, you know how systematic you get into. in planning for the business, planning for equipment, planning for process, planning for what you do in a certain sequence, and planning for eventualities, planning for risk mitigation. So all those kinds of things that you typically do in an industry are also followed in precision farming. And only then you can get precision in everything that you imagine. So now the challenges and solutions. What should I get into precision farming? One, all of us know the groundwater depletion is a serious alarm that we are faced with in the recent past. And in the last 3-4 years, maybe we don't feel it as much because of heavy rains across the world. But if you think of about 6-7 years back or before 2015, for about 4 years, people were talking about groundwater depletion. And similarly, from 2016 to 18, people did talk about it. But from 2019 till now, somehow we're getting heavy to very heavy rains always. And therefore, groundwater depletion is not really being felt by the farmers. But otherwise, it is a serious concern. I mean, if the rains in the pattern that we've been seeing in the last 2 years stops and then goes back to the pattern that we saw a few years back, then it is again going to become a serious concern. And shrinking arable land is another serious concern because population grows. Today we are about 8 billion people in the world, and 8 may become 9 and may become 10. And if you really look at the serious population growth has been happening only in the last 100 years, right? So another 100 years, I won't be surprised if the population doubles. And if the population doubles, or even if it grows by, let's say, 30-40%, and to meet out the financial requirements of those 30 additional percentage, industries will have to grow. And how do industries generally grow? They obviously get into forests, they get into agriculture land, and the industries therefore grow. And when that happens, and if you ask me, can that be completely avoided? I don't think so. I mean, we as human beings will have to try avoiding as much as possible, but 100% avoiding deforestation and not giving up on the agriculture land I don't think is going to be practical. Therefore, arable land is going to shrink. And when the arable land shrinks and then when the population grows up, how do you feed them is the other challenge. And the next is soil infertility. A lot of people might have heard about this, spoken about it. The basmati rice, which is one of our identities. If you go to other countries and go to Indian shops, it used to be once upon a time only in the Indian shops, but you go to any shop, any grocery shop today, you will find basmati rice, and most of them come from India. And what is happening today because of mindless application of fertilizers without calculating what the plant really might need, the soil get into infertility. And this is also a serious problem. And if we have some technique or technology to supply only what is necessary, the soil may not get into this kind of a serious infertility, but that is happening today. And the biggest concern is new generation abandoning farming. In my mind, that is probably the single biggest concern I have in my mind. So these are some of the issues that we face. And how do we solve them? You can probably not, you will not be eliminate the problem, but you can address in a small little way. So one of the solutions to groundwater depletion could be need-based. And you can, from Annamalai University, if you drive down, let's say, towards Viluppuram, Kadalur, you will see sugarcane cultivation quite a bit. And till date, in spite of so many people talking about, the whole world talking about water issues, till date, the entire region, the North Tamil Nadu region, which is the Tiruvannamalai, Viluppuram, Kadalur, all the places where sugarcane is very popular, it is still vastly on flood irrigation. People have not moved to drip irrigation. So that is a big issue. So therefore, there has to be a mechanism for need-based irrigation. And the solution to the shrinking arable land can be higher productivity. So higher productivity can be achieved by improving the techniques in open farms, or you can look at different technologies. There are greenhouse cultivation. It is called protected cultivation, where you also have vertical farming, multi-layer farming within a protected structure, where you create all kinds of atmosphere that the plants require. The temperature, the humidity, the light, carbon dioxide, all of them are artificially simulated so that you produce what you have to produce to be able to feed the growing population. And countries like even the Middle East countries today, I think UAE takes a lead in attempting to create its own food supply chain. And Saudi and Oman are not far behind. I mean, they're also trying their best to sustain themselves with the food supply chain. And Qatar started this about 2 years back. So therefore, even the Middle East countries where we think farming is difficult, they're also trying to do things that will help in they becoming self-sustaining in food supply chain. And soil infertility can be partially addressed by precise fertigation. So you only give what the plants need, therefore the plants take up the minerals that are supplied, and nothing is left on the soils for the soil to degrade. And tech-driven and predictable agriculture may create some enthusiasm among the new generation, which we see in the last 2 years, when people, when the new generation sees our technology. We have seen a lot of people actually getting interested and trying to inquire and acquire this technology. And look at this productivity statistics. Say from all, I mean, mango, Indian average is about 3.24 tons per acre. Asian average is 8.75. And look at, let's say, tomato. Indian average is 9.58 and Asian average is 42.78. Brinjal, 8 tons Indian average, about 29 tons the Asian average. So there are some crops we are almost close, but some crops we are far behind. Therefore, there is definitely need to make use of the natural resources such as land and water as efficiently as possible, so that we increase the productivity and be able to feed the world. In fact, if you look at tomato, while the Asian average remains 42.78, the genetic potential of these tomato crops are somewhere between 150 tons and 200 tons, which if you do Google, you will find that Israel, Netherlands, and even Thailand have achieved the 150 to 200 tons mark, which is the actual genetic potential of this crop tomato. Now let's look at photosynthesis. This is the most important aspect a farmer or anyone who is in the agriculture field should know. And also, unfortunately, this is the most forgotten subject in academics as well as in the practical agriculture application. A plant has something called chlorophyll, and chlorophyll is the only element in the world that can convert sunlight into sugars. But for that conversion, chlorophyll has to convert sunlight into sugar, and it is that sugar or energy which manifests itself into root growth, leaves growth, stems growth, flower or fruit growth. But for that to happen, there are certain conditions that the plants have to experience. What are those conditions? One of the conditions is that there has to be carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, or let's say, look at the table on the right side. A plant has to get about 16 different elements for its survival and growth, starting from carbon to molybdenum. And the overall requirement of carbon for a plant out of its overall food requirement is about 45%. And where does this carbon come from? It comes from the atmospheric carbon dioxide, which is typically somewhere around 250 to 350 ppm in a rural environment. And then comes oxygen and hydrogen. So these requirements are met by the water that we supply at the root zone. And if you look at these three requirements, carbon, oxygen, and nitrogen, they sum up to around 96% of a plant's real requirement. And the everything else, the so-called fertilizers, only constitute to another 4%. And this information has been taken from the website of Wageningen University, which is supposed to be the second best university, agri university in the world. They remained number one for many years, and now I think they're the second best university in the world. So now coming back to the left side, so therefore the plants need carbon to be able to carry out photosynthesis, and they need minerals. The minerals that you see here on the right side, in the format that you see in the last column, column 4, should be available at the root zone. And most importantly, a condition called air-water balance has to be present at the root zone. So what is this air-water balance? It is a condition where the porous of the soil is neither filled fully by air nor fully filled by water. That means there is something called porosity or minute holes in the soil structure. And if you fill the soil with water, I mean, a condition where you see water stagnant around the plant means it is called saturated soil. If the soil is dry, completely dry with no drop of water, then it is called dry soil. Somewhere in between, where there is 50% water and 50% air, that condition is called air-water balance. So, which means the air can actually pass the soil and come out. So the top 12 or 18 of the soil, which is called aerobic soil, needs the aeration to keep the microbes in that area alive, right? So to summarize, for photosynthesis to efficiently take place, there has to be sunlight, there has to be carbon dioxide, there has to be minerals at the root zone so that the plants can take up. And most importantly, the soil, the root zone soil has to maintain a condition called air-water balance, and only then the plants will be able to uptake the nutrients and participate in photosynthesis. So in this, there are a few things that are not in our control. For example, in open farming, sunlight is not in my control. Carbon dioxide is not in my control. But these two conditions, making sure the right minerals are made available, is in my control. Making sure the right air-water balance is maintained at the root zone is also in my control. So therefore, but then if you get into protected farming, you can even control these two parameters, which is sunlight and the CO2. So largely in open farming, we try to control only these two parameters, which is minerals and air-water balance, right? So now let's look at how we built a technology that does exactly that. So this technology was built keeping photosynthesis as the central hero, and everything else revolves around that. And we have also got patent for this idea. And across the globe, at this point in time, we are the only one to provide a technology that was built to enhance photosynthesis. So how it works is, if you can think of these rectangles at the bottom as different zones in a farm, each of which is controlled by a separate control valve for irrigation, right? So what we do is we implant a couple of sensors. The bare minimum, we implant sensors that can detect soil moisture. Essentially, you measure the pressure of the soil, which indicates the soil's water capacity. And you also have a soil temperature sensor. You can, in addition to this, you can also go for soil EC or TDS sensor. You can have a pH sensor, many other sensors. But bare minimum, a sensor to identify soil moisture and sensor to identify soil temperature. Now, with these two sensors, what we also do, so this data is taken from each zone in the farm, and it goes to cloud. And a beautiful thing happens in the cloud after that, which is, depending on where this zone is, the actual geo coordinates. What we do is we pull several other weather data from weather.com. You can, at your luxury, install your own weather station, and if you do so, we can pull data from a local weather station. But in the absence of that, we pull data from weather.com. So what do we pull? We pull all the parameters that have some influence over the soil's evaporation. It could be sunlight intensity, it could be temperature, it could be precipitation, it could be wind velocity, any parameter. Say if there is a heavy wind, the topsoil is likely to dry. When it is very hot, the topsoil is likely to dry. So every single parameter that has some influence over soil moisture or evaporation is taken. And these data, I mean, we have years of such data stored in our database already. So these data will be used by the artificial intelligence algorithm to predict. Let's assume now it is around 11:15. So it'll try to predict when the soil is likely to get out of air water balance, or in other words, when it is likely to dry up. And let's say the system predicts based on the past data that today by 4 o'clock, the soil is likely to dry at this zone. Then it'll try to predict when I'm supposed to irrigate and how long I'm supposed to irrigate so that at 4 o'clock, the soil does not go dry. And accordingly, the system will ensure the right valves are turned on, the pumps are turned on, and irrigation starts automatically without any human intervention. And while doing so, if there is any nutrient to be supplied, it will also actuate those valves, and the minerals, or if it is organic, inorganic, doesn't matter, whatever needs to be supplied will be supplied at the right quantity. I mean, the flow meter will measure the actual quantity to be supplied. So the actual requirement that is necessary for this plot will be taken care. So if you remember what we discussed in the previous slide, two things that we can control: air water balance and the availability of mineral. That's exactly what I explained here. So the system does not allow the soil moisture to go dry. Even before it can go dry, the irrigation will be carried out. And in case of rains or heavy floods, there will be no irrigation because there is no real use of irrigation or fertilization. So that's on the open form side. And in the closed forming, um, what our system can do is it can balance temperature, it can balance humidity, it can balance carbon dioxide, and it can balance light. So all with sensors and without any human intervention. So so to summarize, I mean, the features are listed on the right side. It'll sense the soil moisture. So it'll automatically operate valves to maintain ideal air water balance at root zone based on evapotranspiration principle. So I mean, the students or entrepreneurs in this forum from agriculture background would understand what is the evapotranspiration. Essentially, it is the moisture that is evaporated from the soil, and the moisture that is transpired from the leaves need to be replenished, right? And we do that by effectively using artificial intelligence. And last mile delivery, which is opening of valves or pumps, are done by industrial IoT. And this is our own patented technology, and every hardware and software that was built and used in this automation is in-house developed, completely designed, developed, and made in India, made in Coimbatore. And it also can automatically keep the filters clean. And like I said, it can maintain climatic conditions in greenhouses. In India, the power conditions are sometimes bad. I mean, we don't get 100% power supplied all 24 hours. Therefore, in some sensitive cropping patterns, farmers do buy gensets. In which case, this our system can automatically turn the genset on when there is something to be done. And when there is nothing to be done, it will automatically turn the genset off so that there is no wastage of diesel. And it is completely solar powered and completely wireless. So what I mean by that is, for people who are familiar with farm automation, you might have generally seen kilometers and kilometers of wiring being drawn from the pump room to every valve in the field. And in our case, we have built, this is also a patented technology of ours, where the valves actuation or sensors actuation, everything is powered by a small solar panel, not even a big panel. It is only a 4.5 watt solar panel. And the communication between all these devices are done through our own private LoRaWAN network, which means there is literally zero wiring inside the farm. And last but not the least, it also establishes an automatic traceability of every harvest. That means, let's say you harvest something from this field, there is an automatic traceability established. So farmer has a choice to take a printout or share the QR code to anyone who he is going to sell this produce to. And with that QR code, the entire history of the crop can be disclosed. But again, that is a choice of the farmer. I mean, he has no force to do so, but if he wants to do, he has an option to do. And we have tried disclosing this traceability to end consumers and middlemen. In fact, it got a good welcome from them. So now, with this technology or with the technology that is similar to this, what we are really doing is adding more to precision farming by now, if you go back to the previous slide, we are able to control the air-water balance. We are able to control minerals using our technologies. And in protected farming, we are able to control the other two parameters, which is sunlight and carbon dioxide. And it is all done based on real-time sensors, not by any human intervention, which means a process that is defined for precision farming can be automatically applied, autonomously applied. And when it is done so, the errors are largely eliminated. And of course, some people might argue that technology brings in its own error. That is true. I mean, I don't disagree with that. However, the error that is brought in by the technology is far lower compared to human error. Therefore, I mean, if the human error can cause 99% of errors, the errors caused by machines can just be about 1% or less. So therefore, technology of this kind can really make precision farming a reality in a farm. I mean, without the technology, in my opening a few minutes, I mentioned that you don't necessarily need a technology like this to carry out precision farming. But at the same time, if you really want to do the right precision, it is going to be next to impossible for somebody to take readings from each zone and analyze on a in a real-time basis, make some decisions and take corrective actions are going to be next to impossible in a complete manual operation mode. But with the technology with the technology like this, it becomes a cakewalk. Therefore, predictability is guaranteed, productivity is guaranteed, repeatability is guaranteed, error-free operation is guaranteed. And with all that, there is a high possibility that farming can become an industry. Today, every farmer runs farming. Uh, I mean, they don't run like an industry or a business, but with a technology like this, there is always a possibility that farming can be converted into a real business. And what it can do overall, to summarize, the agronomy expertise is brought into technology. It is not human dependent anymore. Water utilization is optimized. Fertilizer utilization is optimized. Predictability is improved. Productivity is improved. It addresses the labor shortage scenario today. Labor shortage is a serious issue, and technology like this really gives a great answer to the labor shortage. People abandoning farming it is not happening in a big scale today, but it could happen in the near future. Farmer distress because of low productivity, that is addressed. And this technology can really help in multi-cropping. And we have applied this technology on vegetables, rice, pulses, and cereals and plantations all alike. And for those of you who may not know, we have made a tie-up with the Tamil Nadu Agriculture University about a year and a half back. And we are growing rice in Tamil Nadu Agriculture campus using drip irrigation and our technology. And we will continue to do this for another year or so as a effort to identify how best we can cultivate and improve productivity of paddy under drip irrigated and under technology usage condition. So on an average, we can improve the productivity by over 30%. But to give you some numbers, in Udumalpet, average productivity of tomato is around 3 to 6 tons. Some people, of course, take about 15 tons also, but we were able to reach 84 tons in that village. Similarly, in Edapadi, where average productivity of sugarcane is around 25 to 40 tons, we have been able to touch 106 tons per acre. Fertilizer usage similarly is brought down because we only supply fertilizers that are calculated to be the right needs of the plant. Therefore, nothing is left on the soil. And what we are developing now is artificial intelligence driven fertilizer supply. So based on what the farm needs, automatically the buyers will be informed, or even the purchase and sale and transport can happen automatically. And harvest prediction and connect, auto connect of buyer and seller is work in progress. We have done a beta launch. And disease, pest and disease identification remedy. So in this space, we have got a grant from the government of India, and we have identified a partner in Spain. Both of us have been granted around 3 crores of amount, and we are working towards making pest disease identification and control also an autonomous process. So we have talked about all these. So on a hypothesis, we have a target of, it is our own internal target, 1.5 lakh acres coverage in the next 4 to 5 years. And if we did so, what can happen is that about 52,000 crores of liters of water can be saved in a year. And that directly translates to about 3,500 megawatts of electricity, around 20 to 30% reduction in fertilizer usage, approximately 600 crores of additional income in hands of farmers. Labor dependency is brought down. More rural entrepreneurs by this hyperlocal intelligence, because we are trying to connect people and throw in a lot of, we are building our platform in a way, it probably becomes a Google for agriculture. And we also foresee potential reverse migration. And the data that is captured in the system are all autonomously captured with no tampering of any kind, because there is no way to tamper. Therefore, it is likely to help the insurance companies and bank loans and government bodies. And these are some of the pictures you can see. So this is the device that sits proudly in the middle of a farm, wireless, no wiring, nothing. And tomato farm, tobacco farm, and this is a coconut. This is how the fertilizer unit will look like. And this is the Paddy Research Center in Tamil Nadu Agriculture University. As you can see, there is no flooding in this area, while in the other side, you will see flooding. So we are comparing against the flood irrigated paddy. And here you will see slightly grown up paddy. So maybe, some of you may have seen, but for most of you, this may be the first time you encounter a picture like this, where you see paddy having grown on a completely dry land with no flooding of water. So this is a typical, so here you can see drip irrigation, and there is no flooding, no water stagnation. And this is the mango orchard. Here also it's the same thing. You don't see any flooding here. This is brinjal farm. They have done mulch sheet and drip irrigation goes underneath. Therefore, evaporation is minimal and the wheat growth is minimal. This is an attempt by Tamil Nadu Agriculture University for vertical farming or multi-layered farming. And of course, we have received several awards from both governments. These two are from the government, and we have also received many other awards, both from India and abroad. So that's pretty much I wanted to talk about. So thank you so much for the time, and thank you for the patient listening. And I would now hand over back to the organizers for coordinating the questions. I'll be glad to answer any question. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Benjamin. Very few people can express their passion for the subject and profession so effectively, and you are one of them. Thank you for that outstanding session. We hope all of us have plenty of takeaways from it. Now we'll keep the floor open for question and answers. Participants, you may please unmute and ask your questions, please.
Can I start?
Good morning. This is Stalin.
Go ahead,
yes, sir. Go on, sir.
Thanks for a good presentation. In between, I was away for a few minutes, so I'm not sure whether I missed the answer for the question which I'm going to ask. See, apart from rationalized practice of irrigation, what is also required is a rationalized use of fertilizers.
Correct.
In a proper ratio of NPK, again, depending upon the soil and depending upon the crop as well. So this is one area where there is lack of understanding by the farmers. going
Yes,
more by the
that's
price of the fertilizer rather than the nutrient value of the fertilizer. So
okay.
these
So
kind of
I
scientific practices, are you also trying to inculcate by way of testing the soil and depending upon the crop and all that?
correct. See, actually, this is, while I don't want to be sounding like a blame game, but in reality, I would think the universities, the academicians in India failed the farmers on that front. If you go to the universities like the one I mentioned, which is the Wageningen University, one of the core subjects they teach, first of all, the syllabus revolves around photosynthesis. And the second thing, one of the most important aspects they teach is about the actual fertilizer requirements, or more than fertilizer requirements. I mean, if you talk about the genetic potential of a plant, how do you get to the genetic potential of the plant? And of that, what is contributed by the existing minerals in the soil, and what is the gap, and how do you stagger the gap by multiple applications in during the lifespan of the plant. So what we try to do, we have a team of agronomists in-house, and we have also built an artificial intelligence-based system, which is beta testing now. We will launch next year, where you can feed in the soil report uh, and select the crop, the genetic variety of the crop, and the available fertilizers that you have in your locality. It'll automatically try to map what the genetic capacity of the plant is, and to reach the genetic capacity of the plant, what minerals in what proportion have to be supplied, keeping in mind the EC, pH, and all parameters. We'll try to give you a fertigation schedule. So that is something we're doing. But I've been in my discussions with the academicians, I've been requesting them to actually take this as a deep subject and then really educate the students so that the farmers also get that knowledge. But yes, we are at our own capacity, we are trying to do that. And which is how we were able to get those high yields of 84 tons of tomato or 106 tons of sugarcane.
My only suggestion is, without going so deep into that, please do not limit your model only for NPK. Please include micronutrients also, like
It,
zinc, boron, sulfur.
it covers all the 13 elements, sir. It covers
Okay.
all the 13 elements.
Okay, good.
Because only NPK is of no use unless you
Correct.
give the remaining micronutrients.
Okay. All right.
May I ask a question?
Yeah,
Yes,
please,
sure.
please.
Okay. What is your business model? Like somebody hands over the field to you, you charge them per acre as consultancy fee, or what is you never told about your business model?
Okay. Okay. So there are two different business models. One, we are as we speak, we're expanding into Europe and the US. So there it works differently, where it will be on a subscription model.
Okay.
While in India, it is a capital model, where if you have a piece of land, there are two things we do. One is we come as a consultant. Our team comes in and looks at the bare land, if it is a bare land, and starts from starting with the layout. In fact, in-house we have the irrigation engineering department as well, and we have the world's best irrigation design software in our possession. Therefore, we start from the basic design of the land, how you irrigate, and then we get into the question that Mr. Stalin asked, where we try to calculate what the nutrient requirements for the crop they select. So that's a consultancy part we do. The other side, the precision agriculture capital itself, which is drip irrigation and the technology which comes on top of that, is a complete capital expenditure.
Okay, so
where we sell the technology.
Yeah, tell me per hectare or per acre what it costs to what it costs to implement your technology. Second is there any government subsidy available on if you implement your technology? Are you, because somebody told you have to have consultants who will get these government subsidies and things like that for the
Yeah.
Am I right? Because I'm not in agriculture. I'm in a totally different field. But
no, you could be 90%, 99% right.
Okay.
So to your first question, there is no direct answer on the costing because each farm layout is different. But then, it all depends on the farm layout. But I'll try to give you a average number.
Yeah, ballpark figure.
Yeah, ballpark figure. So if you are looking at plantations such as coconuts, where the irrigation setup is very simple and the number of valves are very less in numbers. We are talking about, let's say, around 5 lakhs for 10 acres of land. While if it is vegetable, it could be around 7-8 lakhs for the same 10 acres of land.
Okay.
That's the first answer. But again, I'm trying to give you some upper numbers. It could be lesser when you look at the real design. The other question is around subsidy. To be very honest, we have not tried with the government for subsidies. We made very small attempts, but our attempts were not very pleasant, so we left it there. We have really, we are not oriented towards really going behind the governments and trying to get it, but eventually we may have to do. So far, we have not really seriously attempted.
Okay. My two comments I just want to on your presentation. This is just a comment because I think rampant subsidies that the government give is what actually brings inefficiency into farming. This is what I believe, because there is no common. It's like rewarding the guy who gets the last rank in the class. Okay, correct. The more inefficient you are, we'll give you more subsidy because that's a big vote bank, and that is, and then it is extolled also. Vyavasai, it's like though there is surplus food and people are throwing tomatoes and not enough money for it. Somehow the farmer gets all the sympathy, probably because of the vote bank and subsidy, which makes it inefficient. This is just my observation. My second thing is actually the population is your second slide. The population is actually shrinking. They expect Chinese population to become half. In 2100, they expect Tamil Nadu population to be around 60 million, down about 15 million. So this is statistics. You can check United Nations prediction. United Nations has got a prediction, and International Health they have a different prediction, but they are expecting the population will never cross 10 billion. Anyway,
they predicted that after 2060.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're right, but in 2060 it is on a upward trend and then it comes down.
There are people like you to help till 2060. Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you. I'll not take any more of time.
Sure. Thanks.
Participant, please unmute. Yes, sir. Shankar, sir, go on, sir.
Yeah. Good morning. I am Padmanabhan. Can I?
Yes,
who's good? Padma.
Yes, sir. You can go on, sir. Go on, sir. Shankar, sir, go on, sir.
Okay. This is some sort of a dream for me that somebody creates such facilities for agriculture industry, and good that nice to hear your talk. But tell me, like your company, how many people are there in India doing this kind of work, and what do you think in future, let's say about 5 years from now, this field of activity in India, and what sort of impact it will create to India, and what is in terms of commercial value as an industry of what you're trying to project. And associated with that is, we chemical engineers are very much concerned about carbon dioxide. Now, if you think that if I make liquid carbon dioxide and supply to all your customers, then maybe that I can use this as a CO2 sequestration solution. So any comment on that?
Sure. So first of all, about your first question on the impact of this and how it is going to bring out changes. So to the previous question, I mentioned about two different business models. One in India, the other is outside. So in India, one of the challenges we actually very honestly face, is that we don't have a subsidy tagged to this product. Therefore, it is definitely a hard sell. People, first question is, do you get us a subsidy? So the best we have tried is to link with some banks. So we try to connect some banks so that the farmers are able to get some bank loans. And the good thing about this is, because we don't have subsidy, the good thing about this is we only get real serious farmers who is passionate about precision farming. Not just, I got it free, therefore let me install it. We don't have those kinds of clients, which is a good thing, which is really helping in moving forward with the objectives of saving water and improving the productivity. And similarly within India, we so far, and because we are based out of Coimbatore, until the product was really well established, we did not want to spread too far. So, but then as we speak, in the last 1 year, we've been trying to spread into Karnataka, Telangana, and Maharashtra. So the acceptance levels is really good. People tend to, I think lockdown probably helped people. They were sitting at home just watching the mobile phones. So maybe, not only bad things, they also tend to see a lot of good things about this photosynthesis and what is needed for the plant and things like that. So maybe people became more informed. So there is a clear trend before and after lockdown where people are willing to accept a technology like this more than they did before. And on the carbon dioxide front, yes, especially, in open farming, it may not make sense, but especially in closed farming or the polyhouse, glasshouse kind of farming, carbon dioxide is actually deficient inside the structure. Therefore, for those structures to perform well, you will have to externally inject carbon dioxide. And if that is seen as a business model, which is done, by the way, in Holland, in Netherlands. In Netherlands, the companies there do collect carbon dioxide and then supply it to polyhouses. But in India, unfortunately, the carbon dioxide cylinders are extremely expensive. It is not viable to use in agriculture activities. So, but like you said, if that can be seen as an activity where these carbon dioxide are captured in a cylinder and then supplied to protected farms, the plants do take them up and then emit oxygen. Therefore, as a ecological cycle, it may be a good thing.
The thing is, Benjamin, why carbon dioxide is expensive? Because it is a pure carbon dioxide. Now, in this application, you don't need pure carbon dioxide.
Correct.
So even if it is mixed, let's say even 40%, 50%, if you have carbon dioxide, it can still take. So your cost of carbon dioxide will come down substantially if this, application is very well established.
Sir, maybe we should connect up after this event, I think. I've been hunting for someone who will try to join hands with me on this carbon dioxide front. Maybe we should connect.
Sure.
Yeah, Palani Kumar, please go on, Palani Kumar.
No, this is SRS from Australia.
Hi. Yes. Go on, sir.
Hi, Benjamin. I enjoyed your presentation.
Thank you.
I'm an automation engineer working with AABN for a while.
Nice.
Okay.
And I've been practicing aquaponics as like hobby and organic farming in my backyard, just as a hobby. But I enjoyed your presentation, very interesting. And have you attempted anything on this hydroponics? Because here in Australia, greenhouse hydroponics is very popular with a controlled environment.
Yes.
Also in aquaponics.
Yes, we have done both. Hydroponics with the system called NFT, as well as with coco-pit. Both we have done, and we have done regular. In India, you see coco-pit based farming, where they have air pods or pods spread across polyhouse. You also see NFT or multi-layered coco-pit farms. So all these permutation and combinations we have done. And what we are also in the process of doing is to come out with today we have one product that works for all. But the requirement for a NFT is very different. So we are now bifurcating them and then coming out with a very specific product for NFT. But other than that, we have not done aeroponics, but hydroponics we have done many. In hydroponics, we have done both NFT and coco-pit.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Very interesting presentation.
Thank you so much.
Good morning, sir. I'm Padmanabhan calling from the Nilgiris.
Yes, Mr. Padmanabhan, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, sir. It was an excellent, sir. We had a lot of inputs gathered today. My only question is that Nilgiris is for where the land of farmers are of smaller extent. How could you have any specification on having this technology for the farm? Is it required that he has to have certain extent, or at the smaller extent also you can go forward?
Yeah, good question. Actually, a landholding of 5 acres or more would make sense. Otherwise, it may not really have economic viability. But that said, you're right. In Nilgiris, there are a lot of farmers who have only half acre, 1/4 of an acre. That is true. So there are schemes with the government where it is called community farming, where you can, without changing your boundaries, can create common infrastructure, let's say for 10 acres or 20 acres, which is becoming extremely popular in parts of Kerala. It is becoming very popular in some parts of Telangana, where the governments are really funding them to create common infrastructure in the name of community farming. And even I, at my own capacity, have been trying to create 3 or 4 such clusters in Nilgiris, but I have not yet been successful. So if you, Mr. Prabhakaran, can help in creating such clusters and creating common infrastructure, our technology can also become one of the parts of common infrastructure. So that would make make it practical for farmers in Nilgiris to adopt. In fact, when I say this community farming, it is not only for farmers with half acre, 1 acre. Even farmers with 10 acres, 15 acres can form a community farming of 200 acres, and the benefit of scale is really great. Therefore, the answer to Mr. Patnabhan can be an answer to everybody else here. So anyone is interested in creating a community farming situation, please do contact us. We can try to give as much information as possible so that you make an attempt.
Thank you for your reply, sir. I really enjoyed that. We are actually a group of farmers where we have a group called as Knowledge Sharing is Caring. And we are happy that you were sponsors for one program where we conducted a workshop in Ooty, and Mr. Rajesh Kannan and Badrinathan were present in that program. We look forward, sir. We are actually a group of around 100 members. We'll keep in touch with you. We are planning on large scale on fruit cultivation, sir. So we'll keep in touch with you, sir. Thank you.
Certainly. Thank you. Thank you so much. And we have
Shashwat Anandan.
Hi, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, please go on.
Yeah, thanks for the presentation, sir. Actually, I'm from computer background, so I had a couple of questions on the AI part, machine learning. So my first question is, in the presentation, you told that you take inputs from weather.com and also use your past data for doing the analysis and predicting when you need to control the valves. So you also mentioned that you are going globally. So how do you get the data first? Like you need to have large sets of data. And with respect to weather.com, so how do you make decisions? What is the weightage this data and weather.com? That's my first question.
Okay, so I'm not going really deep into the your question, because that is part of our IP. But just to give you an overview, think about weather prediction itself. There is a lot of artificial intelligence work that happens in the weather prediction also. A lot of past data is being analyzed, and that is used for prediction. And that is exactly very similar what we are trying to do as well. Today, if you look at weather.com or IQweather.com, they've got either a weather station or virtually they try to predict for every 2 to 3 square kilometers a different value. Right. So when you give a geo coordinate, you're able to get very precise data. And in the last year, let's say about a year and a half, we see that the data is fairly accurate. Unlike before, the data is fairly accurate. Therefore, using that to predict the future is likely to be very close. I mean, as you know, artificial intelligence is never 100% accurate, unlike A plus B whole square. It is never 100% accurate, but we're trying to predict as close as possible. So to that extent, the data we get from weather.com is certainly good enough. And the large data, you're right, we store large amount of data. And today, technology has enabled several ways where you can store large amount of data, such as NoSQL is an answer to that. So we of course use that because our data sets are way too large for us to go with any traditional database. So I know I have not, unlike other questions, I know I have not answered your question fully because that is part of the IP. So I have only answered in the peripherals. So hope you don't mind that.
Sure, sir. Thank you. And my second question is about the traceability part. So what type of technology do you use, like something like blockchain, or what type of technology you use, and whether it's the compliance part or you get some cost saving on showing the traceability as well?
Well, see, the traceability is something we developed way back in 2016. So it was not built on blockchain. It is our own technology. So our intention, maybe in the future we can get to blockchain, but again, so when you go for blockchain, every transaction has a cost associated. So we'll have to always look at cost benefit analysis. At this point in time, I think the cost of getting into blockchain is more than the benefit you can get. Therefore, we have not really gotten into blockchain. But the intention with which we established the blockchain, the traceability, is that if I buy, let's say, a kg of brinjal, I should be able to know which brand of seed, which batch of seed did I use, what fertilizers did I use, what kind of pests did my plant encounter, and what corrective actions were taken, and what was the soil health. So all these data will be disclosed, and along with the geo fencing. Right? So those are the information that the system is capable of disclosing. But again, it is up to the farmer to choose what he really wants to disclose, because we cannot decide on behalf of the farmer. So we've given facilities where he can disclose all of these, and he can choose a subset of that or the whole.
Hello.
Yes.
Sir, my side, I am Palani Kumar, sir. I will ask the question in Tamil, sir.
They say the keklam.
Okay. Sir, இப்ப இந்த ஆர்டிஃபிஷியல் இன்டெலிஜென்ட்ன்றது நம்ம ஒரு கிரீன் ஹவுஸ் மாதிரியான செட்டப் தானே சார் கிட்டத்தட்ட?
இல்ல, அதாவது ஃபர்ஸ்ட் எக்ஸ்பிளைன் பண்ணது ஃபுல் அண்ட் ஃபுல் ஓபன் ஃபார்மிங் தான் எக்ஸ்பிளைன் பண்ணேன்.
ஓகேங்க சார்.
மண்ணுல ஈரப்பதத்தை மெயின்டைன் பண்றதும், சரியான உரங்களை சரியான நேரத்துல சரியான விகிதாச்சாரத்துல கொடுக்கறதும் ஓபன் ஃபார்மிங்கான சமாச்சாரம். அதுல நம்ம சிஸ்டம் நல்லா.
சார், இது கல்டிவேஷன் ஏற்கனவே பண்ணிக்கிட்டு இருக்க இடங்கள்லயும் மகசூல் ஏற்கனவே கல்டிவேஷன் பண்ணிக்கிட்டு இருக்க ஒரு 100 வருஷம் 200 வருஷம் கல்டிவேஷன் பண்ணிக்கிட்டு இருக்க இடத்துலயும் இதை ஈல்டு இன்க்ரீஸ் பண்ண முடியுமா சார்?
கண்டிப்பா பண்ண முடியும். அந்த இடத்த நமக்கு ஏத்தாப்புல மாடிஃபை பண்ண வேண்டிய இருக்கு. உதாரணத்துக்கு நம்ம ஒரு 100-200 வருஷமா இருக்கிற செடிகள், அதுக்கு எப்படி இரிகேஷன் பிளான் பண்ணி இருக்கிறாங்க, அதை நம்ம பார்த்துட்டு மாடர்ன் மெத்தட்ஸ்ல ட்ரிப் இரிகேஷன் பிளான் பண்ணணும் அப்படின்னா அது ரெட்ரோஃபிட் பண்ண வேண்டியது இருக்கும். ஒரு சில சேஞ்சஸ் பண்ண வேண்டியது இருக்கும். பட் எந்த கிராப்புக்கு வேணாலும் யூஸ் பண்ணலாம். ஒரு சின்ன உதாரணத்துக்கு சென்னை பக்கத்துல, வண்டலூர் பக்கத்துல இப்போ ரீசெண்டா ஒரு 10 ஏக்கர்ல கிட்டத்தட்ட 60 வருஷத்துக்கு மேல உள்ள மாமரம், நானே பார்த்து ஆச்சரியப்பட்டேன். அந்த மாமரத்தை எல்லாத்தையும் வெட்டிட்டு அதோட சைட்ல இருந்து ஷூட்ஸ் வர வச்சு மீதி இருக்கிற ஸ்பேஸ்ல எல்லாம் சின்ன சின்ன மரங்களை வச்சு ஒரு இன்டென்சிவ் கல்டிவேஷன் ஆரம்பிச்சிருக்கிறாங்க. ஸோ ஈவன் அது எல்லாமே பாசிபிள் இன்னைக்கு. ஸோ எக்ஸிஸ்டிங் கிராப்ஸுக்கு நடுவுலையும் நம்ம ரெட்ரோஃபிட் பண்ண முடியும்.
ஓகேங்க சார். சார், என்னுடைய செகண்ட் கொஸ்டின் என்னன்னா, இது மூலமா பெஸ்ட் கண்ட்ரோல் பண்ண முடியுமா சார்? இப்ப பெஸ்ட் ப்ராப்ளம் அதிகமா இருக்கக்கூடிய இடங்கள்ல கூட பெஸ்ட் கண்ட்ரோல் பண்ண முடியுமா சார் ஓபன் பிளேஸ்ல?
ஓகே, பெஸ்ட் கண்ட்ரோலை பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் நான் அந்த பிரசன்டேஷன்லயே சொன்ன மாதிரி ஒரு கவர்மெண்ட் ஆஃப் இந்தியா அண்ட் கவர்மெண்ட் ஆஃப் ஸ்பெயின் இவங்க 2 பேரும் கொடுத்த ஒரு கிராண்ட் வச்சுட்டு நாங்க பெஸ்ட் அண்ட் டிசீஸ் ஐடென்டிபிகேஷன், அதே மாதிரி பெஸ்ட் கண்ட்ரோல் பண்றது ரெண்டுமே எப்படி பண்றதுங்கிற ஒரு R&D பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கோம். இன்னும் முடியல. அது முடியறதுக்கு கிட்டத்தட்ட 2 வருஷம் ஆகும். ஸோ இன்னும் இதுல இருந்து இன்னும் 2 வருஷம் செய்யும்போது பெஸ்ட் டிசீஸ் வர்றதையும் முன்கூட்டியே கணிச்சு, இல்ல இருக்கிறத நம்ம கண்ணால பாக்குற மாதிரி அந்த சிஸ்டம் கண்ணால பார்த்து அதுக்கு என்ன கண்ட்ரோல் பண்ணணுமோ அதையும் தானாவே பண்றதுக்கான ஒரு சிஸ்டம் நாங்க டெவலப் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கிறோம். அது முடியறதுக்கு 2 வருஷம் ஆகும். இன்னைக்கு இருக்கிற சிஸ்டத்தால அது பண்ண முடியாது.
ஓகே சார். சார் இப்ப வந்து ஒரு 25 சென்ட் அந்த மாதிரி 30 சென்ட் அந்த மாதிரி இடங்கள்ல பண்ண முடியுமா சார்? இது வாய்ப்பு இல்லைன்ற மாதிரி நீங்க சொன்னீங்க. அதுக்கு
ஆமா, அது 25-30 சென்ட்ல வந்து எக்கனாமிக் வயபிலிட்டி இருக்காது. அதனால
சார் எக்கனாமிக்கல் வயபிலிட்டியை நான் எப்படி கால்குலேட் பண்றேன்னா, இப்ப இவர் பசுமை புரட்சி அவர் சொன்னதுதான். முன்னாடி வந்து ஒரு ஏக்கர்ல எவ்வளவு ஈல்டு வருதுன்றதுதான். இப்ப ஒரு ஸ்கொயர் ஃபீட்ல எவ்வளவு வருமானம் வருதுன்றதுதான். நம்மளுக்கு ஒரு 30 சென்ட்ல ஒரு லைபிளான 1 lakh 2 lakh லைபிள் வரக்கூடிய கிராப்ல வந்து
அவருடைய ஆடியோ கட் ஆயிடுச்சுன்னு நினைக்கிறேன். எனக்கு மட்டும் ஆமா,
நீங்க அதை பண்ண முடியுமா சார்?
நீங்க உங்க கொஸ்டின் திருப்பி சொல்ல வேண்டியிருக்கும். உங்க ஆடியோ டோட்டலா கட் ஆயிடுச்சு.
ஓகே, பரவாயில்ல சார், நான் திருப்பி சொல்றேன். சார் முன்னாடி பசுமை புரட்சியினுடைய ஆரம்பத்துல சொன்னதுன்னா ஒரு ஏக்கர்ல எவ்வளவு வருமானம் வருது அதுதான் ஸ்கேலு. இப்ப அவரே என்ன சொல்றாரு அப்படின்னா, ஒரு ஸ்கொயர் ஃபீட்ல நம்மளுக்கு எவ்வளவு வருமானம் வருது, முன்னாடி வந்து ஒரு ஏக்கர்ல எவ்வளவு மகசூல் வருது, இப்ப ஒரு ஸ்கொயர் ஃபீட்ல எவ்வளவு வருமானம் வருது. நம்ம ஒரு 30 சென்ட்ல லைபிளான ஒரு இன்கம் எடுக்கிறோம் அப்படின்னா 2 lakh 3 lakh 1 lakh எடுக்கிறோம் அப்படின்னா இந்த 30 சென்ட்ல இது அப்ளிகேஷன் பண்ண முடியுமா? மேக்ரோவா இருக்கதா மைக்ரோவா கன்வே பண்ண முடியுமா? அந்த இடங்கள்ல இந்த முறை வந்து அப்ளை பண்ண முடியுமா?
கண்டிப்பா பண்ண முடியும். சி, நீங்க வந்து இத ஒரு நீங்க சொல்ற பர் ஸ்கொயர் ஃபீட் பர் ஸ்கொயர் மீட்டர் ப்ரொடக்டிவிட்டி எல்லாம் பேசுனீங்கன்னா கண்டிப்பா பண்ண முடியும். அப்ப உங்களோட சஜஷன், நான் உங்களுக்கு கொடுக்குற சஜஷன் என்னன்னா, இந்த சாட்ல வந்து நான் எங்களுடைய போன் நம்பர் நான் போடுறேன். உங்களோட உங்க பாயிண்ட் வந்து வேலிட் பாயிண்ட். அத நீங்க, அதாவது ஒரு நார்மல் ஃபார்மருக்கு என்னோட சஜஷன் ஒரு 5 ஏக்கருக்கு மேல இருந்தா பண்ணணும் அப்படிங்கிறது. பட் ரொம்ப ஸ்மாலஸ்ட் நாங்க பண்ணியிருக்கிறது 41 சென்ட் பண்ணியிருக்கிறோம். அங்க நீங்க சொன்ன மாதிரி பர் ஸ்கொயர் ஃபீட் பர் ஸ்கொயர் மீட்டர் ப்ரொடக்டிவிட்டி என்ன, அதோடைய காஸ்ட் ரியலைசேஷன் என்னன்னு பேசக்கூடிய ஒரு ஃபார்மேட். அதனால சின்ன இடத்துக்கு பண்ண முடியாதுன்னு இல்லை. உங்களை மாதிரி வந்து நீங்க ஒரு ஒரு அரை ஏக்கருக்குள்ள காஸ்டா அப்படின்றதுக்கு பதிலாக வாட் இஸ் மை பர் ஸ்கொயர் ஃபீட் ப்ரொடக்டிவிட்டி பேசும்போது தாராளமா பண்ணுவோம்.
ஓகே, என்னுடைய பாயிண்ட் ஆஃப் வியூ வந்து டிஃபரெண்டா இருக்கிறது காரணம் என்னுடைய அப்ரோச் வந்து நெக்ஸ்ட் ஸ்டெப்புக்கு எப்படி போறது, இதை எப்படி லைபிளா கொண்டு வருது அப்படின்றதுதான். ஸோ உங்களுடைய கம்யூனிகேஷன் நம்பர் எல்லாமே கொடுங்க சார். ஃபர்தரா என்னுடைய கொரிஸை வந்து நான் சொல்றேன், என்னுடைய கொஸ்டின்ஸை வந்து நான் ரைஸ் பண்றேன். அகைன் அது அந்த மாடலை வந்து அடுத்து ப்ரொசீட் பண்ணுவோம் சார் நம்ம.
கண்டிப்பா கண்டிப்பா.
ஓகே சார். ஏன்னா நான் ஒரு சின்ன ரீட்டைல் ஷாப் தான் வச்சிருக்கேன். ஆனா நான் நிறைய 15 வருஷமா அக்ரி ஃபீல்டுல இருந்ததுனால எனக்கு ஒரு அளவுக்கு ஐடியா இருக்கு. நம்ம என்னன்றதை பார்ப்போம் சார் பாருங்க.
ஷூர் ஷூர். அதே மாதிரி ஒரு சின்ன ரிக்வெஸ்ட் டு எவ்ரிபடி ஹியர். நிறைய பேர் இந்த சாட்ல வந்து ஒரு சில கொஸ்டின்ஸ் கேட்கறாங்க. வாட் ஐ சஜஸ்ட் இஸ், நீங்க கொஸ்டின் கேட்கும்போது உங்களோட போன் நம்பர் அண்ட் இமெயில் ஐடி சேர்த்து போட்டுட்டீங்கன்னா, என்னால எல்லா கொஸ்டினையும் பார்த்து என்னால ஆன்சர் பண்ண முடியுமான்னு தெரியல இப்போதைக்கு. உங்களுடைய போன் நம்பர்ஸ் அண்ட் இமெயில் ஐடிஸ் இதுல போட்டுட்டீங்கன்னா மீட்டிங் முடியும் போது நான் டோட்டலா அதை காப்பி பண்ணி எடுத்து வச்சுக்கிட்டு ஐ வில் ஸ்டார்ட் ரெஸ்பாண்டிங் டு ஈச் ஆஃப் யூ.
ஓகே சார். சார் ரொம்ப தேங்க்ஸ் சார். நீங்க உங்களுடைய போன் நம்பர் மெயில் ஐடி எல்லாமே கொடுங்க சார். நான் உங்களை கம்யூனிகேட் பண்றேன்.
Sir, there's a question in the chat box, sir. I am there's one question from Miss Susma. I am the founder. She's the founder of the startup named Eiger Tech, and it is now at the initial stage. So can you please share your views about the problems on waterlogging?
Okay, can you repeat the question? I'm sorry, I didn't get that fully.
This is a question from one Miss Susma, and she's the founder of a startup named Eiger Tech, and it is now at the initial stages. She wants to know your views about your waterlogging problems.
Waterlogging problem, I'm not sure what she means. Maybe if she's referring to waterlogging problems in agriculture, then the answer is again precision farming. So if you recall, I was talking about pre-cultivation and during cultivation. So you'll have to look at precision in both phases. So in the pre-cultivation, it is very important for you to look at the land layout, the altitude where it falls, and typical water flow direction. And you'll have to really study all of that and then make sure there are proper drainages and trenches made so that there is no waterlogging in a farm. So if there is a piece of land that will certainly for sure have waterlogging, then it is hard to do precision farming in as a open field. However, you can construct closed farm structure like a polyhouse or something on top of that so that the waterlogging does not affect it and get into indoor cultivation. But if it is open farm, there should be no waterlogging there should be everything possible done to eliminate waterlogging. Only then you can get into I mean, it is not really precision farming, any farming that is really necessary.
Sushma, I hope your question is answered.
Yeah, this is Tirupati here. Can I ask this question?
Yeah, please,
Sure.
please go on.
Yeah, hi, Benjamin. So it was a good
Hi.
presentation.
Thank you.
We thought of actually as a infrastructure. This is your position as a service. Somebody invests for 100, 200 acres, whatever is the amount, and they can lease it out or they can give that as a service to the farmers. Have you thought of that kind of a business models?
Well, we did not think of that very seriously in India, but in the last 6 months, there are some discussions going on that line, where we take up a large piece of land and collaborate or get into some kind of a business arrangement with the landowner and us as a company. So we are now starting to think. So far, we did not, but we are now starting to think on those lines.
But what is the ROI? What is the return on investment of that particular infrastructure? So somebody is most of the investors will ask for that only actually. So
Yeah.
how I recover my investments and actually are going to make additional return on the investment.
Yeah. So we did I think some 6 or 7 projects, project reports to understand that. So it looks like the ROI will be in about 3 to 4 years time frame.
Then we can then you can invite a lot of youngsters who will be able to invest and who will be able to do this actually.
Correct.
We do as a technology service to the farmers, and because these the new technology guys can easily adapt to this, and they'll be able to educate the farmers, and they'll also be able to manage that particular community.
Correct. And if you have any specific interest, maybe you can get in touch with. I mean, because only in the recent past we started looking into those lines, so we can definitely discuss if you are also in the same thought process.
Great.
Yeah,
We'll definitely talk and find out.
Sure. And also, what I'm doing is in the chat box, I'm giving the phone number of one Mr. Pandarinathan. He is the head of our solutions team. And anyone who would like to get in touch with us, I request you to get in touch with Pandarinathan. And the main reason, not that I don't want to give my number, but the main reason is, for example, when I participate in this forum, I switch off my phone. And there are many times my phone is switched off. Therefore, you can get in touch with him, and he will definitely, his phone will never be switched off. So he will, in turn, put you across to me.
Email ID will be definitely, email will reach you, and then you can always get back.
Sure. And I have done both. I mean, I have given both email ID and the phone number, and I have shared it in the chat box. 1 second. I think I did it to an individual. I'm just doing it to everyone in the meeting. Okay, I've done that. So, right.
Sir, there's one question from Jagdishwaran. Please go on, Jagdishwaran. Shashwat?
Yes, sir. Just a follow-up question on the traceability part. You said blockchain has some costs associated with it, and the costs are more than the bit. So can you just briefly tell me what do you estimate about the cost?
No, I mean, I don't have a number as an estimate, but as you know, if you were to get into blockchain model, then every transaction has a cost, right? While when we build something on our own, the cost is shared with our own common infrastructure, which is what I meant by cost. There is an additional cost, someone has to bear it. And at this point, since we are since the farmers are yet to familiarize themselves with this concept of traceability, and also the consumers. So once it becomes popular, once it becomes a point where the farmers always share the QR code and consumers always look for it. When the volume goes up, then we can always look at bringing in blockchain. But at this point in time, since the usage is also very minimal, I mean, not many people want to disclose. Not many people are interested in seeing what is in there. Therefore, once it becomes popular, we will definitely. I mean, blockchain is a way to go, but not at the moment.
Yeah, because why I keep asking that is I'm trying to build some product on it, so that's why.
Oh, okay. Okay,
Yeah.
then we can always discuss. I mean, of course, we can always discuss. And in case if you have a solution which makes it economical, why not? Even now, we can go for
Yeah,
it.
when you say every transaction has a cost, what do you exactly mean by it?
See the overheads associated with, for example, right from the seed purchase to fertilizer purchase to everything is a transaction that gets into a chain, right?
Correct.
So maybe what we can do is, if you have a solution, we can take the discussion offline. Maybe you can leave your contacts. We can get in touch post this meeting.
Sure, sir.
Yeah, yeah. Otherwise, this subject particularly might be boring to a lot of other people.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, Jagdishwaran, please go on.
Sir, good morning, sir. I'm from Madurai. Sir, கேக்குதுங்களா?
கேக்குது.
ஓகே சார், நம்ம சிபி ரவி சார் தான் என்ன இன்ட்ரடியூஸ் பண்ணாங்க. மீட் அரேஞ்ச் பண்ணி நம்ம வந்து யங் சயின்டிஸ்ட் பேஸ்டா வந்து ட்ரைனிங் கொடுத்துருக்கோம். ஒரு மதுரை தமிழ்நாடு பேஸ்ல போயிட்டு இருக்கோம். ப்ளஸ் எவ்ரி கவர்மெண்ட் ஸ்கூல்ஸ் இன்ஜினியரிங் ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் வந்து ரோபாட்டிக்ஸ், ஐஓடி ப்ராசஸ், ஏஎம்எல் இந்த பேஸ்ல ஐடிசி பேஸ்ல வந்து ட்ரைனிங் கொடுத்துருக்காங்க. இந்த பேஸ்ல வந்து நம்ம என்னென்ன அக்ரி ஓரியன்டா ப்ராடக்ட் டெவலப்மெண்ட் இருக்கோம்னா லைஃப் ஸ்டாக் மேனேஜ்மெண்ட், பிளஸ் வந்து ஏர் வாட்டர் சயின்ஸ், கிராப் டிசீஸ் அண்ட் வீட், அதுக்கப்புறம் வந்து லைஃப் ஸ்டாக் ஹெல்த் மெயின்டெனன்ஸ், இந்த மாதிரி ஃபார்மிங் ரிலேட்டடா எஜுகேஷன் சிஸ்டம் எல்லாமே ஏஎம்எல் ரோபோட்டிக்ஸ் வந்து டெவலப்மெண்ட்ல ப்ராடக்ட் ரிலேட்டடா வந்து கொண்டு போயிட்டு இருக்கோம். ஆல்ரெடி இப்போ ஒரு 7 ஏக்கர்ஸ்ல வந்து நம்ம இம்ப்ளிமெண்ட் சர்வே பண்ணி லேண்டு, சீடு, அதுக்கப்புறம் வந்து கிராப் வீட் டிடெக்ஷன், வீடை எப்படி ஹார்வெஸ்ட் பண்றது, அப்புறம் கிராப்பை வந்து ஹார்வெஸ்ட் வந்து எப்படி மெயின்டைன் பண்றது, இந்த விஷயத்துல வந்து நம்ம ப்ராடக்ட் டெவலப் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கோம். ப்ளஸ் வந்து மீட்டு, ஃபிஷ், இந்த இதில் வந்து ஃபார்மலின் டிடெக்டிங் சென்சார் யூஸ் பண்ணி ஈஸியாக அப்படியே கண்டுபிடிக்கிறது, இந்த மாதிரி ப்ராடக்டை வந்து டெவலப் பண்ணுறோம். ப்ளஸ் வந்து ரூரல் ஸ்கூல்ஸ்ல உள்ள பசங்களுக்கு சொன்னோம் அப்படின்னா அவங்க வந்து அவங்க ஐடியாஸ் கொடுக்குறோம். அந்த ஐடியாஸை வச்சு அவங்கள்ட்டே ட்ரைனிங் கொடுத்து அவங்களுக்கே டெவலப் பண்ற பேஸ்ல போயிருக்கு ப்ராடக்ட். ஏஎம்எல், ஐஓடி, ஐடிசி ப்ராடக்ட் இந்த மாதிரி இருக்கு சார். இப்போ லைவா போற ப்ராஜெக்ட் பார்த்தோம்னா இப்போ வந்து மதுரை ஏரியால மல்லிகைப்பூ அதிகமாக வரும். அந்த மல்லிகைப்பூவை ஈஸியா வந்து அதாவது ப்ரொடெக்ட் பண்ற மாதிரி ப்ராடக்ட் எடுத்துக்கிட்டாங்க. அதுக்கப்புறம் வந்து இந்த மாதிரி நிறைய ப்ராஜெக்ட் பண்ணிருக்கோம் சார். அந்த பேஸ்ல வந்து பார்க்கலாம், அப்படி பண்ணலாம்.
உங்க வாய்ஸ் ரொம்ப பிரேக் வந்தது. கோபி சார், உங்களுக்கு क्वेश्चन புரிஞ்சுதா? கரெக்ட்டா?
இல்ல, அவர் லாஸ்ட்ல கேட்டது வந்துட்டு he is asking whether he can come and meet you. உங்களை வந்து பார்க்க முடியுமான்னு கேக்குறாரு.
ஓகே, கண்டிப்பா மிஸ்டர் ஜெகதீஸ்வரன், நீங்க வந்து அந்த சாட்ல ஒரு பண்டாரிநாதன் அப்படின்னு ஒருத்தர் நம்பர் கொடுத்திருக்கேன். அவர் தான் சொல்யூஷன்ஸ் ஹெட். நீங்க அவரை கான்டாக்ட் பண்ணுங்க, நீங்க கண்டிப்பா மீட் பண்ணலாம்.
ஓகே.
Anybody else has a question, or we can keep the floor open to Mr. Padmanabhan. Padmanabhan.
Sir, good morning, sir.
Jafar, go on, Jafar.
Sir, I'm Jafar from Annamala University, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, நான் ஆர்டிஃபிஷியல் இன்டெலிஜென்ஸ்ல இப்போ PhD பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கேன் சார். ஸோ அதில் கொஞ்சம் டவுட்ஸ் இருக்குங்க சார். ஓகே, கேட்கலாமாங்க சார்? ஸோ வாட் ஆர் த ப்ராப்ளம்ஸ் இன் அப்ளிகேஷன் ஆஃப் ஆர்டிஃபிஷியல் இன்டெலிஜென்ஸ் டு த ஃபார்மர்ஸ் இன் த ஃபீல்டு? இப்போ அப்ளிகேஷன் இப்போ வந்து ஆர்டிஃபிஷியல் இன்டெலிஜென்ஸ் வந்து அப்ளை பண்றோம்லங்க சார், அதனால ஃபார்மர்ஸ் வந்து என்ன ப்ராப்ளம்ஸ் ஃபேஸ் பண்றாங்க சார்? இப்போ இவ்வளவு நாள் வந்து ட்ரெடிஷ்னல்ல இருந்தாங்க, இப்போ வந்து சடன் அடாப்ஷன் ஆகிறப்போ என்னென்ன ப்ராப்ளம் ஃபேஸ் பண்றாங்க சொல்ல முடியுமா சார்?
எனக்கு தெரிஞ்ச ஆர்டிஃபிஷியல் இன்டெலிஜென்ஸ் அப்ளை பண்ணதுனால ப்ராப்ளம்லாம் ஒண்ணும் இல்லை. என்ன ஆர்டிஃபிஷியல் இன்டெலிஜென்ஸ் வந்து ஃபியூச்சர்ல ஓவரா போய் நம்மளை கொண்டுற கூடாது.
இல்ல அது அன்எம்ப்ளாய்மெண்ட் அந்த மாதிரிலாம் வருதுங்க சார். இன்னொன்னு ஆர்டிபிஷியல் இன்டெலிஜென்ஸ் மெயின் பார்த்தோம்னா மேஜர் இது வந்து மோஸ்ட் எக்ஸ்பென்சிவ் சார். பிக் ஃபார்மர்ஸ் அந்த மாதிரி தாங்க சார் வாங்க முடியும். என்னோட டார்கெட் வந்து ஸ்மால் அண்ட் மார்ஜினல் ஃபார்மர்ஸ்க்கும் அது கொண்டு போகணுங்கிறதுக்காக தான் சார்.
Right. I really appreciate your objective, but on the contrary, நம்ம எப்பயுமே ஒரு புதுசா ஒரு டெக்னாலஜி டெவலப் பண்ணும்போது தட் வில் பி காஸ்ட்லி.
ஓகே சார்.
ஏன்னா வந்து இப்போ நீங்க வந்து ஒரு PhD பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கீங்க. அது முடிச்சுட்டு I'm sure you will either join a company or you will start your own venture. அப்படி நீங்க ஒரு வெஞ்சர் ஆரம்பிச்சீங்கன்னா you will know ஒரு விஷயத்தை வெளியே கொண்டு வரதுக்கு எவ்வளவு காஸ்ட் இன்வால்வ் அப்படின்றது உங்களுக்கு புரியும். அப்ப அந்த காஸ்ட் வந்து இனிஷியலா எனி டெக்னாலஜி வில் பி எக்ஸ்பென்சிவ். அதுக்கப்புறம் ஓவர் பீரியட் ஆஃப் டைம் அது வந்து எக்கனாமிக் ஆக ஆரம்பிக்கும். இது நம்ம வந்து எல்லாத்துலயுமே பார்த்திருப்போம். இப்ப ஒரு 32 inches டிவி LCD HD ரெடி டிவி 40,000 ரூபாய்க்கு இருந்த காலமும் இருக்குது. இன்னைக்கு வந்து அது 7,000 ரூபாய்க்கு கிடைக்குது. ஸோ எந்த ஒரு டெக்னாலஜி இருந்தாலும் ஓவர் பீரியட் ஆஃப் டைம் டெஃபினட்டா இட் வில் பிகம் எக்கனாமிக்கல். எந்த ஒரு பொருளும் நீங்க பாத்தீங்கன்னா ஒரு காலத்துல வந்து பணக்காரனுக்கு மட்டும்தான் ரீச்ல இருந்தது. நிறைய பொருட்கள் அந்த மாதிரி காலப்போக்குல that becomes a product that everybody else will be able to use. So காலம் தான் பதில் சொல்லும். So over a period of time கண்டிப்பா வந்து it will become affordable. இனிஷியலா
எக்ஸ்பென்சிவ் நம்ம கவர்மெண்ட்னால கொடுக்க முடியும் தானேங்க சார். ஸ்கீம்ஸ், NGOs, FPOs அவங்க மூலியமா அது ரெண்டுக்கு. இப்ப ட்ரோன் வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா இப்ப பிக் ஃபார்மர்ஸ் வந்து வாங்கிடுறாங்க, இல்ல வந்து ரெண்டுக்கு அடிக்கிறாங்க. பட் வந்து ஸ்மால் அண்ட் மார்ஜினல் ஃபார்மர்ஸ் பாத்தீங்கன்னா 1/2 ஏக்கர் 2.5 ஏக்கர்ஸ் இந்த மாதிரி இருக்கிறவங்க பாத்தீங்கன்னா அவங்களும் யூஸ் பண்ணணும்னா கவர்மெண்ட் இனிஷியேட் பண்ணா கொஞ்சம் முடியும் தானேங்க சார்?
இல்ல அதுலதான் எனக்கு என்ன பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் என்னுடைய தனிப்பட்ட கருத்து கேட்டீங்கன்னா, இந்த 1/2 ஏக்கர் 1/4 ஏக்கருக்கு வந்து நீங்க துல்லிய விவசாயம் அப்படிங்கிறத கொண்டு போய் சேர்க்கிறதோ இல்ல ஆர்டிபிஷியல் இன்டெலிஜென்ஸ் கொண்டு போய் சேர்க்கிறதோ ரொம்ப கஷ்டம். அதுக்கான ஆல்டர்னேட்டிவ் இந்த கம்யூனிட்டி ஃபார்மிங் என்ன பொறுத்த வரைக்கும். பட் அதுல என்ன சிக்கல், அதுல இருந்து கவர்மெண்ட் சைட்ல எனக்கு தெரிஞ்சு ஒரு லாஸ்ட் ஒரு 15 இயர்ஸாவே கம்யூனிட்டி ஃபார்மிங்க்கு நிறைய ஸ்கீம்ஸ் இருக்குது. பெரிய அளவுல ஃபார்மர்ஸ் அதை யூட்டிலைஸ் பண்ணிக்கல. என்ன காரணம்னா எல்லாருக்கும் அந்த பவுண்டரி மேல ஒரு பயம் இருக்குது. நான் வந்து நிறைய பேர்ட்ட நானே வந்து பர்சனலா பேசி பார்த்திருக்கிறேன். எல்லாருக்கும் அந்த பவுண்டரி மேல ஒரு பயம் இருக்கிறதுனால பண்ண மாட்டேங்கிறாங்க. சோ இதுல உங்களுக்கே நல்லா தெரியும், எக்கனாமி ஆஃப் ஸ்கேல் அப்படிங்கிறது வந்து எப்பயுமே ஒரு ஸ்கேல் ஹேஸ் இட்ஸ் ஓன் பெனிஃபிட். நீங்க வந்து ஒரு 25 ஏக்கர் நீங்க பண்றீங்கன்னா யூ ஆர் அட் அ கமாண்டிங் சைடு. ஒரு வியாபாரிட்ட நீங்க உங்களால கமெண்ட் பண்ண முடியும். 1/4 ஏக்கர் வச்சுட்டு உங்களால கமெண்ட் பண்ண முடியாது. பட் 1/4 ஏக்கர் அரை ஏக்கர் வச்சிருக்கிறது உங்க தப்பும் கிடையாது, ஏன் தப்பும் கிடையாது. நம்ம நாட்டோட ஸ்ட்ரக்சர் அப்படி இருக்குது. அப்போ அதுல சரியான ஆன்சர் என்னவா இருக்க முடியும் அப்படின்னா அந்த கம்யூனிட்டி ஃபார்மிங். பட் அன்பார்ச்சுனேட்லி நாட் மெனி பீப்புள் ஆர் வில்லிங்.
இல்ல அது ஒரு 5 to 10 மெம்பர்ஸ் எல்லாமே சேர்ந்து பக்கத்து ஃபீல்ட்ல இருக்கிறவங்க எல்லாமே சேர்ந்தே பண்ண முடியாதுங்க சார். அதான்
சொல்றேன், தட் இஸ் வாட் இஸ் கால்ட் கம்யூனிட்டி ஃபார்மிங். அதை பண்றதுக்கு வந்து மக்கள் ரெடியா இல்லை. நான் வந்து இன்ஃபேக்ட் 2-3 ஊர் கிருஷ்ணகிரி, மதுரை பக்கத்துல, அப்புறம் திருநெல்வேலி பக்கத்துல, கோயம்புத்தூர் பக்கத்துல நிறைய இடத்துல வந்து குக்கிராமங்களுக்கு போயிட்டு அங்க ஸ்டே பண்ணி அங்க இருக்கிற ஃபார்மர்ஸ்ட் 2 நாள் உட்கார்ந்து தங்கி இதோட பலன்கள் என்னெல்லாம் அப்படின்லாம் நான் பேசி பார்த்தெல்லாம் செஞ்சிருக்கிறேன். பட் நிறைய பேர் அந்த இதுக்கு வர்றதுக்கு விருப்பம் மாட்டேங்கிறாங்க. ஆமா, அப்படி வந்தா இந்த டெக்னாலஜியோட பெனிஃபிட்ஸ் வந்து அவங்களுக்கு போய் சேரும். எப்பயுமே வந்து இந்த டெக்னாலஜியோட பெனிஃபிட் எங்க வரைக்கும் போய் சேரும்னா அதுக்கும் ஒரு ஸ்கேல் தேவைப்படுது.
சரி, இப்போ நெக்ஸ்ட் கொஸ்டின் என்னோட ஆர்டிபிஷியல் இன்டெலிஜென்ஸ் டெக்னாலஜி வந்து நம்ம தமிழ்நாட்டுல என்னென்னங்க சார் இருக்கு? எனக்கு தெரிஞ்சு ட்ரோன் மட்டும் தாங்க சார் இருக்கு. வேற என்னென்ன டெக்னாலஜி சார் இருக்கு தமிழ்நாட்டுல?
ட்ரோன் அப்படிங்கிறது ஆர்டிபிஷியல் இன்டெலிஜென்ஸ் டெக்னாலஜி கிடையாது.
ஓகே சார்.
ட்ரோன் இஸ் ஜஸ்ட் ஃப்ளையிங் டெக்னாலஜி.
ஓகே.
அதுல நீங்க ஆர்டிபிஷியல் இன்டெலிஜென்ஸ் வந்து யூஸ் பண்ணணும் அப்படின்னா அதுக்கு என்ன அப்ளிகேஷன் அப்படின்னு பார்க்கணும். அப்ப அதுக்கான இன்புட்ஸ் என்னன்னு பார்க்கணும். சோ அதுல வந்து அதுக்கு செயற்கை நுண்ணறிவு வேணும் அப்படிங்கிறது நீங்க யோசிச்சு அதுக்கு ஏத்தாப்புல அப்ளிகேஷன் கிரியேட் பண்ணலாம். பட் ட்ரோன் பை இட் செல்ஃப் ஹஸ் நத்திங் டு டு வித் ஆர்டிபிஷியல் இன்டெலிஜென்ஸ்.
ஓகே. இல்ல அந்த நார்மல் ஸ்ப்ரேயிங் கம்பேர் பண்றப்போ இது 50% பெஸ்டிசைடு, இன்செக்டிசைடு இது எல்லாமே கம்மியாகுது இல்லைங்க சார்? சோ இதுவும் ஒரு ஆர்டிபிஷியல் இன்டெலிஜென்ஸ் சொல்லலாமா? இல்ல எனக்கு தெரியல.
இல்ல ஐ திங்க் அப்படின்னா நீங்க வந்து ஆர்டிபிஷியல் இன்டெலிஜென்ஸ் இன்னும் கொஞ்சம் ரிஃப்ரெஷ் பண்ணுங்க. அதுக்கும் இதுக்கும் சம்பந்தம் இல்லை. நீங்க ஆர்டிபிஷியல் இன்டெலிஜென்ஸ் நினைக்கிறதுக்கும் ரியல் ஆர்டிபிஷியல் இன்டெலிஜென்ஸுக்கும் சம்பந்தம் இல்லை. மேபி அதுக்கு இதுல நம்ம பேசுறதுக்கு போல நீங்க யூ கேன் கோ பேக் அண்ட் ரெஃபர் டு யுவர் புக்ஸ் அண்ட் மெட்டீரியல் அவைலபிள் ஆன் தி இன்டர்நெட்.
ஓகேங்க சார். இல்ல வேற என்ன டெக்னாலஜிஸ் தமிழ்நாட்டுல இருக்கு ஆர்டிஃபிஷியல் இன்டெலிஜென்ஸ்?
See, ஆர்டிஃபிஷியல் இன்டெலிஜென்ஸ் வந்து இன்னைக்கு எல்லா இடத்துலயும் ஏதோ ஒரு விதத்துல இருந்துட்டு தான் இருக்குது. இப்ப நீங்க வந்து உங்க தமிழ்நாட்டுல ஸ்பெசிபிக் என்ன இருக்குன்னு எனக்கு தெரியல. பட் நீங்க உங்க ஒரு போன் ஓபன் பண்ணீங்கன்னா அமேசான்ல போய் ஏதாவது தேடி இருப்பீங்க. திருப்பி குரோம் ப்ரௌசர்ல போகும்போது அது சம்பந்தமா ஆட் வரும். பார்த்துருப்பீங்கன்னு நினைக்கிறேன். அது மாதிரி உங்களோட பையிங் பேட்டர்னை வச்சுக்கிட்டு வேற எங்கேயாவது சஜஷன்ஸ் வரும். இந்த மாதிரி நிறைய இடங்கள்ல ஒரு ஜிமெயில போயிட்டு நீங்க மெயில் டைப் பண்ணீங்கன்னா சென்டென்ஸ் கம்ப்ளீட் ஆகுறது. ஸோ ஸ்பெல்லிங் கரெக்ஷன் நிறைய இடத்துல ஆர்டிஃபிஷியல் இன்டெலிஜென்ஸ் வந்து யூஸ் ஆகுது. அது ஸ்பெசிஃபிக்கா தமிழ்நாட்டில் எதுக்கு யூஸ் ஆகுதுங்கிறது ஐ எம் ரியலி நாட் வெரி ஷுவர். ஸோ அதுவும் ஐ திங்க் யூ பீங் ரிசர்ச் ஸ்காலர் கொஞ்சம் தேடிங்கன்னா கிடைக்கும்னு நினைக்கிறேன்.
ஓகேங்க சார், ஓகேங்க சார். சார் உங்க நம்பர் அந்த சாட் பாக்ஸ்ல அப்படியே போடுங்க சார். நான்
போட்டுருக்கேன். ஜாஃபர் போட்டுருக்கேன்.
ஓகே சார், ஷோர் சார், நான் கண்டிப்பா இது பண்றேன்.
ஓகே.
Subhash, do you have any questions, Subhash?
Hi, sorry for pulling me in. Benjamin, very nice presentation. My name is Subhash. Been in AgTech for quite some time and currently doing a startup. Excellent one. I saw your controls, your LoRaWANs, your sensors, and your solenoid walls working in. I would love to connect with you sometime to understand what you guys are doing. Also, sure. It's something that I used to do a lot in my past, but I'm kind of over obsessed now with smallholder farmers.
Okay.
Probably these toys are quite expensive for my folks where I'm playing in. The question I wanted to ask you is the visuals you shared about the drip irrigation in rice.
Yeah.
So I keenly understand that it's going to save water.
Yes.
Other than that, what problems you have faced in setting up that experiment? You're running for the second year. So how is the yield that compares with the traditional methods? You shown a field also behind, which is full of puddled water and standing water. So any insights would be helpful for me.
Yeah. So first of all, one of the reasons why we even ventured into that effort was in Tamil Nadu. There are places where, of course, I mean, if you look at the riverbeds, people do flood irrigation, and that helps in the groundwater replenishment. And I mean, it is a natural process. But on the other hand, if you go away from the rivers, where people only survive with groundwater, whether it is borewell or open well, there are many places in Tamil Nadu where people don't necessarily cultivate paddy for commercial purpose. That means they don't cultivate and sell, but they want to cultivate paddy for their own food for the next 1 year, and therefore they cultivate in their piece of land, particularly using borewells and open wells. And the effect of that has been that in many places the open wells don't yield water anymore. So, which is one of the reasons that I was behind. So I was instrumental in getting this project with TNAU, and the specific reason was this. Therefore, we started with that, and what we see now, the first attempt, I should say, was a failure. We were not even close to 60% of the traditional yield. And the second attempt, we have crossed, we have been about 10% more than SRA method. Therefore, we have seen success for the first time. The second attempt has been successful. And the third and fourth attempt, our vision is to see if we are able to get the productivity to 2 to 2.5 times of SRA. Now we have just crossed 10% of SRA. So our vision is to cross 2.5% of SRA. So that's been the story so far as the paddy research is concerned.
Oh, that's thank you very much, Benjamin. I'm keen to follow that. I have one more question. So say a 5-acre farm, a plantation crop or something like that, that wants to set up your system, what would be their upfront cost apart from those? I'm talking about the core systems, the controls, etc., not about the pipelines and the layout. Just a ballpark would help.
So the core system can be as low as about 2 lakhs. It can get as high as about 10 lakhs. So what I understand is you are working with a lot of small farmers. If that is the case, maybe it is the case where you and I can sit and find out what we can do to those small farmers specifically. because this technology is completely designed and developed and produced in-house, we will be at our ability to make anything. I mean, if you want something very specific and small, we can always do that. In fact, post this paddy research, that is what we are planning to do for paddy. We are planning to come up with a set of controllers that will work specifically and exclusively for paddy. Therefore, we make it as inexpensive as possible. So maybe we can work and see if we can do something like that between the two of us.
Sure. I look forward for that, Benjamin.
Sure.
Thank you.
Sure.
Anybody else has a question? We are just running short of time because we have been holding Mr. Benjamin for quite a long time.
That's okay. The questions are quite interesting, so I'm okay with that.
Mr. Benjamin?
Yeah, please go on, Sriram.
Yeah, good afternoon. Actually, your presentation is really very useful.
Thank you.
Actually, in near Sivagasi, we are having a lot of lands. I think I hope you understand that almost all the fireworks industry and so many other industries are converting into cultivable lands as far as the surrounding is concerned.
Correct.
A lot of farming activities are going on now. I think if you can drop into Sivagasi sometime, I can link you to the people here, local entrepreneurs.
Okay.
A lot of space, and the water is also not that much. When we use it efficiently, we can have a good crop. So I think we can meet sometime.
Sure. Sir, by any chance, have you left a message for me with your contact? Or
yeah. I have given my contact with you.
Okay.
After the meeting, we can.
Sure.
Yeah, your presentation is very good, sir. Thank you. Good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Benjamin, I would like to introduce myself. Would you mind? Can I talk for 2 minutes, please?
Yeah,
sure.
My name is Raju Narasimhan. I'm from ex-Indian Air Force. I have been working in the Middle East for about 25 years in oil and gas. After that, I came back to agriculture, horticulture. Now I got a model farm in Tanjore to Pudukkottai bypass, and where we are trying to teach a lot of students from Tamil Nadu Agriculture University. And now we sort of innovation. We have started teaching and showing practical demonstration for high school students also. There are a lot of innovations we are doing. We are in contact with not only state government, central government also. Now, as you talked about the drip irrigation, I have started drip irrigation in my land since from 2000.
Okay.
Drip irrigation is one of the main important factor for agriculture. Not only now, this is going to help us for another 10, 15 generations where we should use it. Whoever wanted to do a drip irrigation, they can get a subsidy for 5 acres, 100% free of cost, number one. Number two is those who want to do drip irrigation, more than 5 acres and above, they can get 5 hectares of land for 75% subsidy from the state government of India. And we are trying to help each and everybody through a Deputy Director of Horticulture or Joint Director of Agriculture, Horticulture. And we are doing a lot of things as we are talking about the precision farming. I have in my farm, it's a model farm, which is planned and prepared as a model farm. We have a global gap certification since from 2008. And I got N number of awards and all these things. In addition, when I was working in the Middle East, I was thinking, what am I going to do? I selected a very good field like agriculture, horticulture. And in that, now I'm trying to help a lot of farmers, a lot of students. I'm also a scientific member in KVK Vamban. I am also a president for Progressive Farm Association in Tamil Nadu, which I was nominated by Indian Chamber of Food and Agriculture Ministry from Central Government of India. And I am also a national correspondent for the Agriculture Today magazine. Now, everybody started a drip irrigation. Now, except a few, it is not that flood irrigation is going to help them. Flood irrigation is not going to help them, because let everyone, farmers, whoever is there in the meeting, let them start preparing for drip irrigation for anything and everything. Nowadays, even for paddy also, the drip irrigation started. It's giving a very good yield. Now, Jain Irrigation have shown a lot of from Anbil Dharmalingam University from Trichy, and the participants, those who are there, they should start precision farming like what we are doing in our farm. Like we have agriculture, horticulture, solar bow, solar pump, solar dryers, pack house, animal husbandry, agroforestry, aeroponics, and not only this, and we are doing a lot of millets. We are getting a lot of money when we are doing. Only thing what we need to do is we have to be there in the farm around 7 o'clock in the morning, come back around 6 o'clock. We need to take care. In my 50 acres of land, I got only 3 laborers. Those are working. It's fully mechanized. Mechanization is very important for everyone, so that we don't need to bother about the employees. We need only 3-4 employees. That is enough, more than enough for us. Whenever we are doing millet cultivations or like this, when we need some 10-15 ladies, that time we can utilize them. Otherwise, mechanization is very, very important. Modern methods have to be followed, and the value additions also is very important for everyone. Everyone is wasting the food. I got about 5 to 7 acres of bananas. I got about 4,500 Alfonso mangoes, where I got Global Gap certification. I could able to sell my product for 160 rupees per kg. This is what important for every member, those who attended this training. And certification is important. And Global Gap certification is one of the very important points. If they follow up, they will get a very good price. And they need to go for marketing also. Marketing is one of the important factor where we can. Government is trying to help farmer producer organization or farmer producer company. They should start doing all these things. They should be collectively, they should do the marketing. That is how they can win the goals, win the game. This is very important for everyone. If anyone wanted to ask me any questions, they can shoot. Please go ahead. Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity. Have a good day.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, this is Alphonse from Madurai. Sir, your presentation was very good and very practical. But only my question is, see, in India, almost 80% are marginal farmers. Okay, so Government of India Agriculture Department, they're spending a lot of money on agriculture, but mostly it is in the closed room and research and other things. How practically it is going to reach the farmers? One small thing, even in this meeting, I doubt most of the farmers are not able to attend because of these, whatever the technology, they are not able to understand how you are going to first reach to the farmers. Farmer means, what I am saying is marginal farmers, not the corporate or the people who are well-to-do and now retired and for hobby or some other things, they are doing a lot of farming. Even I was in US, I've seen this technology, whatever you are used, but they are somewhat learned people and government is helping to understand the technology to use it. So how you are going to reach the minimal people, sir? Because it may be commercial, but we have social responsibility also.
Right. So to your question on how we are going to reach the actual marginal farmers or people at the bottom of the pyramid, the very honest answer is it is tough. So today we are limiting ourselves to big farmers. The reason we are limiting ourselves to big farmers is that they understand this technology. Now for us to even try to go reach to the marginal farmers and trying to explain to them this technology, we have tried that in the past. We have tried to educate marginal farmers on the precision farming methods with no intention to sell anything to them. But see, they have their own challenges. It is very hard for them to even follow the basic principles of precision farming. Forget about selling technology. They have their own challenges. Therefore, it is a multifaceted issue. You put it into a single question. So, the fact that they have not been able to be part of this forum itself, an evidence of that, right? So, therefore, it is going to take a while, maybe 10 years, 15 years, I don't know, for them to come to a level of discussion that we are talking today. Or maybe sooner with the penetration of technology. I wish it gets sooner. And until then, it is going to be tough. And you and I trying to really bringing them up to a same uniform platform of the technology is in my opinion, not going to happen. And second question on your subsidy question, I don't know. I mean, where it is going, I have no idea. I mean, I know a lot of money is being announced in budgets, both union and states. Do you really see anything on the ground? Does something changing? I haven't. So I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of money being spent, but how do you see that on the ground? Very little. I mean, if I say I don't see anything at all, then it will be a lie. We do see some changes, but not to the proportion of money being allocated as we read in the newspapers. So that would be my thought process.
Okay, sir. Thank you. One thing, sir. I have 5 acres of coconut. Just to
Yes.
initiate my level, can I keep in touch with you to try to?
Oh, sure.
Implement?
Certainly.
Just awareness. It is not for me to market or to produce or something like that. Just to want to make a little awareness to our people here.
Certainly, definitely.
With your permission, can I add some more colors?
Yes, sir. Yes.
With your permission, can I add some more colors? The gentleman who was speaking from Madurai, it's very easy, gentlemen, those who are very marginal farmers, like 1 acre, 2 acres, is very clear. You can go for 80 days or 90 days intercrops, like watermelon. You can go for black grams, like urundu, like green grams, pachapairu, like tatapairu. All these things, you can go ahead. You will get a hell of a lot of money. Believe me, trust me or not, when I started planting in my land for watermelon, it's about 80 days. I took a very good seed. I started planting. I got 25 kg of watermelon, 30 kg of watermelons. There was one watermelon which was weighing around 36.8 kg. Now, the important thing is everyone wanted to put a white collar, shirt and pant. They don't want to enter into the field. They need to walk into the field, make sure that they are putting drip irrigation. It's very important. Flood irrigation is not going to help you out because of a lot of weedings. And when you want to sell it out, there are festivals which is coming. You can go for watermelons. Now the season is coming up for millets. You can get very good amount of money from black grams and green grams. And this one, Nilakadalai also. There are a lot of things which you can do it. Even the paddy field owners, before cutting the paddies, they can go for millets. This is how they can earn money. It is very important, gentlemen. You cannot ideally keep mum. You should start trying millets and other things, whatever, like watermelons or muskmelons. These are all the things will give you a lot of money, which you should try to learn. Or I have given my number also.
Sir, sorry to interrupt. It is not my question of making money, but how to make this technology to reach the lower level. Secondly, I am from Madurai, where only we grow paddy and coconut. So the millet and all these things, which it is not tradition to change it. So it depends on the climate, soil, and other things. But my aim is how to reach the technology even to the last person. That is the way I was asking.
Yeah, Mr. Alphonse Paul Raj, I think if you can leave your contacts, I will ask some of my team members to get in touch with you. We have done a couple of farms around Madurai area. I think one right very close to Madurai, some 20 kilometers from Madurai, and another from around 30-40 kilometers from Madurai. Maybe you can also take a look at them and see from water usage point of view and technology point of view how that suits your requirement. You can actually take a look. So maybe if you would like, please leave your contact so I'll ask my team to get in touch with you.
Yeah, I already given my contact, sir, in your private message.
Oh, okay.
Please come, sir. Please come.
Sure.
And we'll try to help. That is my aim. Not making money is one thing, definitely.
Understood. Clearly understood. Yeah.
Technological, social development should be there.
Right. Understood.
Thank you.
Technology, you can take it from Madurai University, where they will be able to help you. Tamil Nadu Agriculture University, a lot of scientists are available. If you contact them, they will be able to give you technology. Technology is nothing but like this. There are meetings which is being conducted. You should try to attend the meeting. You should try to read a lot of things which is available in the YouTube, wherever, whatever you want, A to Z. everything is available. You should read politely and make sure that you are going to your farm every day and ensuring that you are getting daily income. Even when you go for coconut or anything, even in coconut also you can go for intercrops. It is not making the money. Initially, you try to grow it up. Now, what I did, I have done the farm in such a way that it is going to help another 5 generations. Another 150 years, nobody can touch my farm. I have made it in that way, even though my son is a doctor, but he is also very, very much interested during Corona period. He started plowing. So you need to be a practical man in your farm so that you can win the game, you can achieve the goal. That's my answer, please. Thank you very much.
Kulandai, any questions, Kulandai?
எல்லாம் விவசாயத்தை தெரிஞ்சுக்கிட்டு விவசாயத்துக்கு வர சொல்றேன், அவ்வளவுதான்.
இல்ல, விவசாயத்தை தெரியாமே வரலாம்.
நிறைய பேருக்கு இன்ட்ரெஸ்ட் இருக்கு. நிறைய பேர் உள்ள வந்துட்டு இருக்கிற பக்கத்துல இருக்கிற ஃபார்மருக்கு இடைஞ்சல் பண்ற மாதிரி வீக்கெண்ட் ஃபார்மர்ஸா இருந்துடுறாங்க.
That's correct.
வீக்கெண்ட் ஃபார்மர்ஸா இருந்துட்டு பக்கத்துல இருக்கிறவங்க வந்து இவங்க வெளியேந்து பணத்தை கொண்டு வந்து கொடுக்குறாங்க. நான் ஒரு எக்ஸாம்பிளுக்கு சொல்றேன். ஒரு டாக்டர் கோயம்புத்தூர்ல இருந்து ஒரு சைட்டை வித்துட்டு இங்க பொள்ளாச்சி காளியாபுரத்துல வந்து ஒரு லேண்டை வாங்குறாரு, ஒரு 10 acres வாங்கிட்டு வீக்கெண்டுக்கு வர்றாரு. அங்க இருக்கிறவனுக்கு நல்ல 15,000, பக்கத்துலலாம் 10,000 கொடுக்குறாரு, இவன் 15,000 கொடுக்குறாரு. ஒரு மாடு, அவன் தங்குறதுக்கு இடம் எல்லாம் கொடுத்துட்றாரு. அவன் பொறுப்புல அந்த ஃபார்ம் விட்டுறாரு. அவன் பக்கத்து இடத்துக்கு டெய்லி வந்து 700 rupees இதுக்கு டெய்லி வேஜஸா போயிட்டு இருக்கான். இந்த மாதிரி பண்றது என்ன ஆகுதுன்னா, பக்கத்துல இருக்கிற ஃபார்மர் அஃபெக்ட் ஆகிறான், சின்ன சின்ன ஃபார்மர்ஸ். புரியுதா நான் சொல்றது கோபி?
புரியுது.
விவசாயம் வந்து இப்போ ஒரு ஸ்டைல் ஸ்டேட்மெண்டா ஆயிடுச்சு. விவசாயம், நானும் விவசாயம் பண்றேங்கிறது. அப்படி இல்லாம தெரிஞ்சுட்டு வரலாம். நெகட்டிவா பேசுறேன்னு நினைக்க வேண்டாம். நிறைய பேர் ரிட்டையர்மெண்ட்டுக்கு இடத்த வாங்கி போட்டு ஒரு கைத்து கட்டல் போட்டு அங்க போய் ஹாயா தூங்கிடலாம்.
Absolutely, you said it very correctly.
அந்த இடத்துக்கு அந்த மாதிரி வர வேண்டாங்கற.
இல்ல, அப்படி அவங்க செஞ்சாங்கன்னா அவங்க வந்து அதுல இம்ப்ரூவ்மென்ட்டே கிடையாது. Totally nil. As you said rightly,
சார் அந்த மாதிரி வர வேண்டாங்கறாங்க.
also.
அந்த மாதிரி வராம இருக்கிறதே ஃபார்மருக்கு செய்யற பெரிய ஹெல்ப்னு சொல்றேன்.
இல்ல, கரெக்ட். பட் அவங்கள்ட்ட நிறைய பணம் இருக்கு, வந்து வாங்கிடுறாங்க. பட் they should also try to put a farmer family so that the farmer family will be able to do something good. But these doctors, those who are getting a lot of money, they are trying to, as you said rightly, 10 acres of land வாங்கிட்டு எனக்கு நிறைய டாக்டர்ஸ் இருக்காரு. இன்ஃபேக்ட் என்னோட son also is a oncology. But what they are trying to do, my son, when COVID period, when he came to Trichy, he started going to the farm and started plowing. He started plowing in such a way, the interest should be there. Without interest, you cannot do anything. நீங்க சொன்ன மாதிரி ஹைஃபை ஆங்கி பேங்கியா வந்துட்டு கயிறு கட்டில ஜாலியா படுத்துட்டு போலாம் அப்படின்னு நினைச்சாங்கன்னா அது நடக்கவே நடக்காது. That means they are spoiling the agriculture. That should not be.
அங்க ஒரு ஃபார்ம் ஹவுஸ் கட்டிட்டு பார்ட்டி இங்க வச்சுக்கறாங்க, வீக்கெண்ட் பார்ட்டி.
ஆமா, எக்ஸாக்ட்லி. You are absolutely correct.
பக்கத்துல இருக்கிற ஃபார்மரை அஃபெக்ட் பண்ணுதுங்க. அது
not only பக்கத்துல இருக்க, not only பக்கத்துல இருக்க ஃபார்மர்,
அந்த இடத்துல இருக்கிற உங்கள மாதிரி ஃபார்மர் உங்க ஏரியாலன்னா அவங்கள வந்து பார்த்து கத்துக்கிட்டு they can do farming.
Certainly.
கோகனட், நட்மெக் எல்லாம் வேணும்னா நம்ம ஃபார்முக்கு வாங்க, பக்கத்துல இருக்க ஃபார்முக்கு எல்லாம் கூட்டிட்டு போறேன். நட்மெக் பத்தி
ஆக்சுவலா அந்த நீங்க குழந்தைவேல் சார் சொன்ன குழந்தை வடிவேல் சொன்ன ஸ்டேட்மெண்ட் வந்து நான் 200% ஒத்துக்கிறேன். ஏன்னா எனக்கு தெரிஞ்ச நண்பர்கள் ஐடில சக்சஸ் ஆயிட்டோம் அப்படின்ட்டு எனக்கு வந்து கிட்டத்தட்ட 6 வருஷம் ஆச்சு ஸ்டடி பண்றதுக்கு. ஐடிலே இருந்து நாங்கெல்லாம் வந்து நிறைய ப்ராசஸ் எங்க பழகணும். அதுல பிளான் போட்டு எஃப்எம்இஏ போட்டு ஃபிஷ் என்ன டயக்ராம், அந்த டயக்ராம் ஃபிஷ் போன் டயக்ராம்லாம் போட்டுட்டு வேலூர்ல வந்து ஒரு டீம் ஆஃப் ஃபார்மர்ஸ் இல்ல ஐடி ஃபெல்லோஸ் ஒரு 5 பேர் 13 கோடி ரூபாய் இழந்தாங்க. அது ஸ்டார்டிங் டேலே நான் சொன்னேன், இந்த எக்ஸல் ஷீட் ஃபார்மிங், பவர் பாயிண்ட் ஃபார்மிங் வேலைக்கு ஆகாது அப்படின்ட்டு. காலை வந்து கிரவுண்ட்ல வைக்காம இதை இறங்காது அப்படின்ட்டு. பட் நீங்க சொல்றது கரெக்ட், நிறைய பேர் இப்படி வர்றதுல நீங்க சொன்ன ஒரு பாயிண்ட் வந்து ஃபார்மர்ஸுக்கு பாதிப்பு. அது மட்டும் இல்ல, ஃபார்மிங் சீரியஸா எடுக்கிறவங்களுக்கும் இது நெகட்டிவ் எக்ஸாம்பிளா போயிடுது.
கண்டிப்பா கண்டிப்பா. பசுமை வீடெல்லாம் படிக்கலாம் சார், அந்த ஸ்டாட்டிஸ்டிக்ஸ் எடுத்துக்கூடாது.
நான் படிக்கிறது
certainly you are correct, absolutely.
அதெல்லாம் படிக்கலாம். இப்போ நட்மெக் வந்துங்க, நீங்க ஸ்டாட்டிஸ்டிக்ஸ் கொடுக்குறீங்கல்ல, கோயம்புத்தூர் டிஸ்ட்ரிக்ட்ல நட்மெக் என்ன ஏரியா இருக்குன்னு எடுத்து பாருங்க. கவர்மெண்ட் ரெக்கார்ட்ல எதுவுமே அப்டேஷன் இல்லை. கலெக்டரேட்ல போய் பேசி அடங்கல்ல வைக்க சொன்னா அந்த தாசில்தார் முழிக்கிற அப்படி. 76 lakhsக்கு நாங்க ஒரு ஃபார்மர் ப்ரொடியூசர் கம்பெனி வச்சிருக்கிறோம். ஒரு லோடு வந்து டைரக்டா சேல் பண்ணிக்கிறோம். நட்மெக், மேஸ், நட்மெக் எல்லாம் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் டைம் டைரக்ட் செல்லிங். அதுக்கு நிறைய இடைஞ்சல். கேரளா பையர்ஸ் தான் நிறைய இருக்கிறாங்க. அவங்க வந்து டைரக்டா அந்த மிடில்மேன் தானே அடிக்கிறான். அதுல யாருக்காவது நட்மெக், கோகனட்டை பத்தி தெரிஞ்சுக்கணும்னா வாங்க. நம்ம ஃபார்ம் வந்து ஆனமலை பக்கத்துல இருக்கு. தெரிஞ்சுக்கிட்டு உள்ள வாங்க எல்லாருமே. நான் சொல்றது எல்லாம் தெரிஞ்சவன்னு நான் சொல்ல, நானே கத்துக்கிட்டு தான் இருக்கிறேன். நானேன்னு இல்லை, நான் கத்துக்கிட்டு இருக்கேன்.
It's a learning curve. Everybody should try to attend a lot of meetings. They should try to read a lot of things. They should try to go and visit a lot of farms. Without entering inside, without the pre-planning, they cannot enjoy. They cannot do anything. What I was doing is, I was doing 28 in the offshore. I was in charge of 14 platforms in oil and gas. When I come back to India, the first day, 9 o'clock, I start to my farm and I be there in my farm for 28 days, day and night. That is how you can win the game. Now, I am the man who could able to do a lot of things. I got ultra high density mangoes, bananas. With the 2 acres, I took around 17.85 lakhs, which I could able to do it because I was selling bananas in kgs, kg 45 rupees. Now, public is not aware how to sell the product. That is very important. They can produce a lot, but they don't know. As you said rightly, middlemen are enjoying. You should not allow the middleman. You should go directly. That is why farmer producer company, you should start it and you can go and directly sell it out. Central Government of India is helping a lot of farmer producer company.
Okay, shall we come back to the original topic?
Yes, sir. Right.
If there is any question on the presentation that I made, I think we should come back to that.
Yeah.
And everything else, we can keep it outside of this forum.
Okay. Sure. Anybody else has a question?
So, I have very little idea about farming, but they said the reason they flood rice field is to prevent because weeding otherwise is very costly. That is why they flood to avoid weeds. Just to educate myself.
Correct.
They say that's the cheapest way to prevent weeds growing.
That is correct. See, actually, a few crops, paddy, not only paddy, banana, and sugarcane have been traditionally grown under drip irrigation. Paddy, you're right. The cheapest way to grow paddy is flood irrigation, and you will not be. I repeat, you will not be able to eliminate flood irrigated paddy cultivation because it has to be done at the riverbeds. It has to be done. The drip irrigated and technology-driven paddy will never be economically viable. Let me make it very clear. It will never be economically viable. You cannot do trading with that production. But it is for people, you can see such people across India where they want to grow for their own family. And for them, the cost is not the concern. It is when they are the biggest, not the biggest, maybe they are one of the most contributing factors to the groundwater depletion. So it is for them, not for a common man who wants to produce paddy and sell it in the open field. Certainly not. For them, it will continue to be flood irrigated paddy.
I agree with you, but how are we going to improve the modern technology? Even for paddy, the drip irrigation has come. Let them come slowly, step by step. Initially, start with the 2 acres, 5 acres.
I'm talking about economic viability. That means you invest on drip irrigation, invest on technology. The amount of money you invest, it is going to take about 15 years for them to take return on investment based on the costings available today. Which is why I said commercial and technically, you can make it a grand success, but it is not going to be a commercial success, at least for the next 10 years.
If that is so, then we are going to waste a lot of water. The next generation is going to lose a lot of, they won't be able to get water. That is why we must save water.
For the sake of awareness, let me, give 2 cents of what I know. flood irrigation cannot be eliminated. At the riverbeds, you have to do flood irrigation. There is no alternative. You have to do it. Therefore, there are. I mean, if you contact the scientific community, there is a very minor population that says flood irrigation has to be eliminated. But most people agree that riverbed flood irrigation has to continue. So therefore, the flood irrigation, in my opinion, is not going to go away. Not only in India, anywhere in the world. The drip irrigation is for the dry land, or what is known as upland. It is for that. So not drip irrigation will not be a replacement for flood irrigation in several parts. Any other question? So maybe, Ravi, we can take further questions separately. I have
yeah, sure,
sir.
Sure. So thank you very much. Thank you very much for being with us today, sir. Excellent session we had. I hope you also enjoyed being with us.
Thank you. And I'm also very glad because a lot of questions were good. I mean, people knew what they were asking. That means a lot of people have deep knowledge in the field. I'm really glad, enjoyed today's program. Thank you so much.
So we'll stay in touch, sir. I'll call.
Sure.
Call you offline.
Yeah,
thank you.
I put up my number also. If anybody wants clarification, they can always clarify to my number. My name is Raju Narasimhan. I put up my number also. You can note down my number, and I will also post some of the videos which was taken by the in my form, so that they will be able to enjoy and they can follow it up. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Yeah, Narasimhan, sir, I will get in touch with you, sir.
Sure. Thank you very much, sir. Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. We'll let you go, sir. Thank you.